At this time, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Perry Players Showcase. Sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself. It's my pleasure right now to present to you the Perry Players.
This is John Hartley. Weekdays, I'll guide you through rush hour traffic from Traffic Hot for 85 during Colorado's Morning News and Kelly and Company on 85 KOA Denver.
We said that Colorado sort of broke it open in the final 2 minutes of the first half when they scored 2 touchdowns. And the second of those 2 was set up by our defensive play of the game. You've already heard from Bruce Young about it. And we'll be right back to hear the defensive play in 30 seconds.
In Sports 57.
Possible above the 10,000.
There's nothing we can do about it.
Footloose, he hitched.
He is desperately crying for help. If you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem, Charter Hospital can help. Call Charter Hospital now. Outpatient services available. If you don't get help at Charter, please get help somewhere.
Now, class, your homework assignment for tomorrow is to summarize your future professional plans.
That's easy. Sports, news, weather.
Huh?
The News Force set at the Children's Museum is the perfect place to brush up on your broadcasting skills. Kids of all ages can be news or weather anchors, sportscasters, directors, or camera operators.
Awesome!
Made possible by public service, a new energy.
Here's why Biggs...
A6, hurry and you'll make it.
Delta Airlines ticket agent Sam Singletary knows how to get people moving.
Mr. Franklin, your bag.
But sometimes he has to show off a few moves of his own. The kind of moves that made him a first-string halfback. Sam Singletary shares a feeling with everyone at Delta. He loves what he's doing, and it shows.
We love to fly. He's the kid. And it shows.
Sure's new outdoor fresh scent is like a breath of fresh air.
Raise your hand. You feel fresh now. Raise your hand. You feel clean now. You feel confident, secure.
Now get odor and wetness protection you can count on in a new fresh scent you'll love.
Raise your hand. Fresh and new now. Raise your hand. You feel cool now.
Try new Sure outdoor fresh scent, as clean and fresh as all outdoors.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're sure.
My brother Tom used to flip me out. Every time I'd be watching a TV show I liked, he'd start flipping through the channels. Then we got this amazing Magnavox TV with a built-in smart window. Smart window. That lets Tommy flip through all the channels while I keep watching what I want to watch.
Now I can see what I've been missing.
And that's quite a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Magnavox. Smart choice. Very smart.
Just off Route 19 in St. Petersburg is a place where you can learn to ski the Alps and shoot the rapids all in the same building. At Bill Jackson Sporting Goods, you can practice everything from a stem Christie to an Eskimo roll. But if you go there, remember, bring your imagination and your Visa card. Because Bill Jackson doesn't promise you Sun Moritz, and he doesn't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
The on-off endurance test. The shake test. The impact test. You'll probably buy only one furnace in your life, so buy the one that's built to last a lifetime.
The Lennox Pulse Gas Furnace. Take it from Dave Lennox.
For home heating, for cooking, hot water, or drying, choose gas, America's best energy value.
Daddy, I want my teddy bear.
I want my soda.
Grandma, isn't this fun? Oh.
I want my Certa.
Why do people want a Certa? The answer is the exclusive Certa Surface. It tops firm support with layers of thick, luxurious comfort. It'll spoil you for sleeping any other way. So get a Certa Perfect Sleeper.
I want my Certa.
There are a number of ways to get a safer ride, like always fasten your seat belt.
Seat belt?
And never ride on worn shocks and struts. They can allow your tires to lose contact with the road, resulting in a loss of control and braking. Get a new set of Monroe Gasmatic shocks and struts. They help your vehicle hold the road.
Hey, I feel safer already.
So do I.
For a smoother, safer ride, America rides Monroe.
I don't worry about the quality of parts my mechanic uses. Put in whatever's cheapest, son. Heck, I'm gonna get rid of it once the ashtrays are full anyway.
Automotive technicians like your Big A Pro know quality service starts with quality parts, and your Big A Pro's got them. So look for the sign of the Big A Pro, your sign of quality parts and service nationwide.
So, how's it look, son?
You better hope your ashtrays fill up real fast.
Want to stay in touch? You can't beat the full line of Uniden scanners and CB radios. Whichever you choose, choose Uniden.
Before you even touch this camera, you're going to want to own it. The incredible 35mm Infinity Super Zoom 300 from Olympus.
Decided that life wasn't easy. I'm sick and tired of losing my way. Been in and out of love now for so many times. I can't find a loving woman to stay. But I must be doing something wrong to get in this rut. Yeah, I feel like I'm being abused. Put an ad in the paper as my very last chance to stop myself from getting confused. The ad read, situation big and got a part-time job in my heart. Inquiries are welcome, write a letter and we'll make a start. Don't wanna get involved, hope you'll understand me. I want the capability to be free. Situation's big and got a part-time job in my heart. Suppose somehow you must think I'm kinda crazy to think of doing such a deed. But if you felt the way that I do about love, you'd know I'd have to take the lead. But I have to admit it didn't get me too far. I didn't even get one reply. It seems everyone must be awfully contented. Why not me? I'll never understand why. Situation's big and got a part-time job in my heart. Inquiries are welcome, write a letter and we'll make a start. Don't wanna get involved, hope you'll understand me. I want the capability to be free. Situation's big and got a part-time job in my heart. Feeling pretty lonely at this time of my life, yeah. I'm looking around for something new. I've had my share of loving and also lots of losing. There must be something better to do. Skimming through the paper at the end of the day, I saw a classified I couldn't believe. A lonely young lady who feels a lot like I do had a message that would set me free. A message that would set me free. Her ad read, situation's big and got a part-time job in my heart. Inquiries are welcome, write a letter and we'll make a start. Don't wanna get involved, hope you'll understand me. I want the capability to be free. Situation's big and got a part-time job in my heart. Situation's big and got a part-time job in my heart. Situation's big and got a part-time job in my heart.
When Colorado shops Cherry Creek Dodge, Colorado wins, and here's why.
6.99% financing available on our entire inventory of new 82 and 83s. 11.9% interest available on over 200 used cars and trucks. No money down on over 400 new cars, trucks, and vans like a gas-stingy Dodge Colt, just $111 per month. Plus 100 free lottery tickets with every new or used car, truck, or van. You might win $1 million, you might win your new car. We're making super deals, we're making it easier than ever before. See us now at Cherry Creek Dodge.
She came right out and told me my teeth were yellow from smoking.
I didn't want to embarrass him, but he did get the Topol.
When smoke from one cigarette can leave a stain like this, imagine what a pack a day can do to your teeth. Topol is formulated to help remove ugly yellow tobacco stains, yet Topol cleans gently enough to be used every day.
Topol is kind of expensive compared to regular toothpaste.
Oh, but compared to what cigarettes cost.
Your teeth are so much brighter now.
Yeah.
Topol, smoker's tooth polish.
Know what you got here? I'm your Big Sur 12-drawer underdresser. I fit under your waterbed to give you the storage capacity of 2 upright dressers. And I'm a great value. A 6-drawer underdresser starts at just $59.95. A 12-drawer underdresser is as low as $119.90. I'm the best friend the small bedroom ever had. Just one thing, wash those tennis shoes before you put them in here.
Big Sur waterbeds. 14 giant showrooms, including 5150 North Federal and I-225 at the Valley Highway next to Levitt's.
Hi, we're the walls of your apartment. And we want you to get us some of this previously rented brand-name furniture.
At super low prices
at the Court Furniture Rental Clearance Center's Warehouse Inventory Clearance Sale. Save 30 to 70% on one of these living room sets.
Or choose from a great selection of bedrooms.
Buy today and save on dining room sets like these.
And there's recliners, tables, lamps, and much more.
Here's a Court bonus. Get a free brass hall tree with a $50 purchase.
It's happening right now, so hurry to
Court's Warehouse Inventory Clearance Sale. Your walls will thank you.
Thank you.
See?
We're at 600 South Havana in Aurora.
Our new computer is printing out a list of one only and old merchandise that we like to sell off before we take our annual physical inventory.
We've slashed prices on all our 1982 lineup of Simmons bedding from 20 to 50%, including the beauty rest. Well, this Key Largo waterbed is now only $189 complete. Well, this Mariner bookcase waterbed is now only $219 complete. Or this big Lexington waterbed is now only $339 complete. Save at all stores.
American Furniture Warehouse.
How much money will you spend this year for things you want and need? No matter how much you spend, you run the risk of being conned out of half of it. You must learn to spot schemes beforehand, because once you sign a contract or make a purchase, you may never get off the hook. Find out more from your district attorney's consumer office. In Boulder, call 441-3700. Denver residents call 333-7723.
Oh, we're the men who ski this country, we're the men who love our snow. From Aspen to Sun Valley and farther east to Stowe. We're the men who clear the ski trails and we built those friendly bars that make this land of ski the all-time sport of ours.
It happened in Sun Valley not too long ago when I caught an inside edge in all that powdered snow. As I left old Baldy and went screaming through the trees, I wondered just what things I'd break beside my middle ski.
We're the men who ski this country, we're the men who love our snow. From Aspen to Sun Valley and farther east to Stowe. We're the men who clear the ski trails and we built those friendly bars that make this land of ski the all-time sport of ours. Ski with the jet set at old Sugar Bush. Plenty of weekend joy and song, lots of slopes to shush. So if by chance you venture out from the lodge to ski, you'll find there's plenty of stuff out there to eyeball and to see. We're the men who ski this country, we're the men who love our snow. From Aspen to Sun Valley and farther east to Stowe. We're the men who clear the ski trails and we built those friendly bars that make this land of ski the all-time sport of ours. Up on Mammoth Mountain, everything is fine. I'm lying prone beneath the snow with my flask of wine. I don't know how I got here, and I don't know where I've been. There's nothing left for me to do but sit, drink, and grin. We're the men who ski this country, we're the men who love our snow. From Aspen to Sun Valley and farther east to Stowe. We're the men who clear the ski trails and we built
transport of heart.
Announcing a fabulous sale on the Commodore Plus 4 personal computer, the first computer with 4 built-in software packages, the big 4 every computer owner needs. Built-in graphics and sound commands, 128 colors, 64K memory, 75 commands, word processing for letters, reports, create graphics, graphs, charts, full color designs, balance checkbooks, business statements, income tax, file management for mailing lists, inventories, recipes. Retailers originally sold the Commodore Plus 4 for $299.95. Now it's yours for only $99.95 complete. Will include $150 in discount coupons towards special options. Use your credit card and order the incredible Commodore Plus 4, the $99.95 computer package you've been waiting for.
Use your credit card for rush delivery by calling 1-800-336-3030 or send check or money order for $99.95 plus $10 shipping and handling to Commodore Plus 4, P.O. Box 3500, Department 2H, West Caldwell, New Jersey, 07006.
We're having a gigantic 48-hour stock reduction sale at all our stores during Washington's birthday. We've slashed prices on every item, no exceptions. We're open special hours until 9 p.m. Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday nights for this special savings event. This 48-hour stock reduction sale ends Tuesday at 9 p.m. Come and drive away with the bargains. Prices will never be lower than right now at all American Furniture Warehouse stores.
American Furniture Warehouse brings to you
Big Mike Naughton is for
Hi, I'm Mike Naughton. Here again, making used car buying easy. I price them right to start with, so we don't have to hassle. Paul, show them what I mean.
With only $377 down, this Mercury Zephyr's just $149 a month. This 81 Mustang's just $142 a month. And this 81 Lynx is just $133 a month.
It's just like I told you. I price them right to start with.
At Big Mike Naughton Ford.
This book is not new, at least not anymore. Since its introduction in September of 1984, it has become the most valuable consumer tool ever made available to the public. In the book, you'll find information about consumer products and services, as well as Tell Tips Library. All of this is provided to you at no cost by the Rocky Mountain Better Business Bureau through the support of its member businesses. Get the help you need to be a wise consumer. Use the Consumer Resource Book.
It's time to get active, to learn from the pros.
Join us for the Mayor's Cup Marathon and Sports Festival. It's your chance to be part of a free, fun family day to promote health and physical fitness.
It all takes place Sunday, May 4th at Denver Civic Center Park.
So join me.
And me for the Mayor's Cup Marathon and Sports Festival, Sunday, May 4th.
It's all for the benefit of the Mayor's Council on Physical Fitness.
You know, when I started dipping Kodiak, made my friend here real happy because it's his brand. Now it's my brand, too. It's good and moist with a special cut that packs right, and it's got a big, fresh wintergreen flavor. But don't take my word for it. Just ask my friend here. He really got away with words, don't he?
Just one more click.
Some people will do anything for beautiful jewelry, but play it safe and come to Jocelyn's jewelry sale. Right now, cubic zirconias, the diamond look-alike, are 50% off. Set in 14-karat gold, these cubic zirconias are sale priced from $1,450 to $600. So don't get caught stealing jewelry. Come to Jocelyn's jewelry sale and get a steal on cubic zirconias. I knew I should have gone to Jocelyn's.
KBCO just keeps sounding better with more music and a new improved signal. KBCO plays a great variety of music. Classics from the 60s and 70s, acoustic, new rock, even some jazz. Not the same songs all the time. And now KBCO comes in strong and clear, so I can listen wherever I go. I listen all day long. KBCO plays more music, and it just keeps sounding better.
A miraculous development.
I'm to have a date with Armando.
Good. Then bring him to Silent Spring clearance now through Monday.
Thank you, Jerry. That was fun.
No more fun than getting a 13-inch color TV with automatic tuning for $149. How about them apples?
Is that a joke.
It may as well be with Toshiba Deluxe Midsize Microwaves marked down to $179.
We'll be back with more in a moment.
And AM/FM portable stereo cassette recorders for $29.99.
Afterwards, drink plenty of fluids.
At Silo's Spring Clearance. Hurry, sale ends Monday.
Every Sunday is Taco Sunday at Taco Bell.
Yes, every Sunday. Our world-famous crunchy taco is just $49 cents.
And here's the best part.
Taco Bell makes Sundays something special.
Happy she be when she's with me. Happy I be when she's with me. Because I love her and I treat her like a lady. Happy she be when she's with me. Tell me you love me now, I'll tell you why. You want each other but you're both so shy, shy, shy. Well, it won't happen if you just let time go by. Too many loves been sacrificed, waiting for someone else to break the ice. And if you go for it, you'd be surprised. Oh, happy she'd be when she's with me. Happy I'd be when she's with me. Because I love her and I treat her like a lady. And happy she'd be when she's with me. All those intentions that you keep inside might come to nothing much worse if it's on track. Sometimes you have to give a big piece of your pride. But now you know, with a girl and me, we won't go through life separately. You take the chance, someday you'll see. Oh, happy she'd be when she's with me. Happy I'd be when she's with me. Because I love her and I treat her like a lady. And happy she'd be when she's with me. Happy she'd be when she's with me. Happy I'd be when she's with me. Because I love her and I treat her like a lady. And happy she'd be when she's with me.
Will you open this?
Hey, Dad, is this how you sulfur pie? Man, I know you said rock and roll, but I really wanted to direct.
I was hoping you could talk to the president about the price of oil.
It's good to be me.
Good things happen at Carefree Spas. Like right now during Wet Test Week, you'll get incredible savings on the best-built spas.
Savings, selection, and service. Carefree Spas, where good things happen in Denver and Colorado Springs.
All right, there we go. Excuse me. All right. There's always about a 20-second lag if you've seen me do these before. So anyway, yes, make sure that I exist. Yeah, I'm trying to watch two things at once here and read the chat. All right, well, it is Ask the Archive night. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean ask me about anything archive related. It means just kind of, we can just chat, just kind of about more or less anything within reason. Don't expect my answers to be any good. Don't expect them to be deep. Maybe they'll be funny, maybe they won't. Just depends on if I get on some kind of roll. Okay, I'm seeing some comments saying that they indeed see me. Hopefully everybody hears me too. I am seeing everything working on my computer screen here. And indeed, I had a slight ulterior motive for tonight's live stream, and that is I am test driving a new laptop, new to me, that is, a few years old. The one I had been using had been giving me some trouble, so unfortunately it's going to be time, and it wasn't updating anymore and all that, so yeah, hopefully it's pretty good, and this is my second ride with the current phone that I use for a camera when I'm live streaming. I feel like I'm starting to dial that thing in just a bit. Hopefully my camera angle is good. But anyway, yeah. You might have noticed a slight theme with tonight's opening stuff, and that is because I am indeed heading back to beautiful downtown Aurora. But just to visit. I'm not that crazy. So yeah, I'm going to be heading out this weekend. I'm going to be there all this coming week and then coming back the following weekend. And I'm hoping to do kind of a twofer, well, actually more of a threefer, but archive-related twofer with this. And I don't mean anything sick, obviously. I mean in that I'm going to try and do some thrifting, try and hit up some of the old spots again, assuming they still exist. And so that will be a hopeful thrifting video eventually, because I started making archive thrifting too late. I really should have started in like 2015 or so, not March of 2018 when I did the first one. 3 months before I left. The thrifting was always better there, but who knows? It may have gone to hell there too. It feels like it's kind of just gone downhill everywhere. So yeah, that... hopefully some kind of travelogue. I haven't really figured out what exactly yet. And then just some other stuff when I'm there. Like I hope to finally get to visit Vinegar Syndrome. If you're familiar with the cult video label, they were just starting up around the time I left, and I never did get over there. So I'm hoping to check that out. And they were in beautiful downtown Aurora, I should say. They're on the west side now. I think they're next to Casa Bonita. And anybody that knows much about Denver knows that, and if you've seen enough South Park, you know what that is with all the references. So yeah, and also trying to still wrap up some of the last of the stuff with my dad's passing last summer. So yeah, I think my dance card's going to be pretty dang full there. So anyway, yes, I see a super chat. Thank you. Absolutely not necessary. Indeed, if you want to send any kind of chat, there is a link to a totally arbitrary GoFundMe. I put $5 for the goal. It's not meant to be anything like, oh, I need $500 now. Yeah, just trying to, I guess, get around YouTube. I'm trying this as a bit of an experiment. So anyway, yeah, that should bring everyone up to speed here. It's been a very, very crazy week for me. I've been trying to bash out this entire between season break that started today. And I'm still actually, if you have followed me long enough, I have my separate channel, Archive Annex. And on the Annex channel, every year, every summer, I try and do a whole run of especially commercial breaks that I find on tapes or any other kind of ephemeral goodies, maybe newscasts, or maybe I'll transfer one of the more educational DiscoVision laser discs or something along those lines. But yeah, as of like 6:30 my time, so about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes ago, something like that, I was still working on it, and I'm still going to have to get back to that tomorrow, and then try and get ready to leave for Colorado on Saturday. So it's just an absolute mess right now. My timing was not exactly brilliant with this one. But yeah, I spent too long trying to do a thing for my friend Rick, aka Fuzzy Memories, here on YouTube, the Museum of Classic Chicago Television. I took on a whole box of Quasar Great Time Machine tapes of his, and I've done 2 episodes on that. And everything went sideways for me right around the time that those tapes showed up. So now 3 years later or something, I'm just starting on them. But yeah, it's always a mess trying to do that, and I'm going to try and make a recurring little thing. You'll see the first video of that later this summer, where it's me just trying to go through a few of the tapes and just trying to note what's on them and that sort of thing. I've done videos like that before, but also just to show to Rick, that there is indeed something going on, at least in little spurts here. But yeah, obviously I'm rambling. I'm sweating up a storm. I've been running around like a madman all freaking day. I was up until 12:30 last night transferring tapes, and then today trying to edit them and all that. And yeah, it's been a bit of a mess. So I suppose I should let go of the mic for the rest of the stream here. So if I missed your question, go ahead and start rolling them in, or just whatever comment, whatever you want to say. This tends to be a pretty free-form thing. That really, the Ask the Archive name is just intended to be a cute little thing. It's not supposed to be anything to be taken too seriously. Like Archive has a tendency of being. I try not to suck too much. But yeah, let's see here. Dale KUSA is a video on high vision Japanese analog high definition TV on the eventual docket. Probably not. It was touched on in the DVHS episode a few years ago, and I feel like that's kind of about as good as I'm going to get with that. I just don't have the experience with it, and it would probably be better served by like a Japanese YouTuber or somebody who's just got the experience with Japan. I'm trying to multitask as always. So yes, let's see here. I am 1,000 apples. A bunch of Fuzzy Memories videos have been marked members only. Do I have any insight on that? A bunch of stuff on my sleep playlists too. If it is, I don't know what the deal is. I was a Patreon donor of his. I think I still am, although I don't really see much, but something might have gone sideways there the last time I had to update credit cards. I know his channel got shut down 2 years ago, something like that, and since then a whole bunch of his videos have been just perpetually processing and stuff, once the channel came back online, and I think he is still working through that. And as always, it is take a drink time when I say the chat is jerking around on me, as in the list of comments just keeps moving on me, usually as I'm trying to read something. So anyway, yes, let's see, Brian Hebert, maybe get the Razor Ramon guy from the Public Domain episode to do the plug for something. Yeah, Gino, I don't know if Gino's in the chat tonight. Sometimes he is, sometimes he's not. I'm not really quite sure what he's up to right now. Admittedly, I haven't been online a whole lot. Let's see here. Axminster 6. Hey Ben, found some DCC tapes at the Goodwill a few days ago. 6 BASF, I call them BASF, B-A-S-F, blanks, 5 sealed, and that blue compilation tape I think you have. I have any need more? I can send them over. No, actually, because it doesn't work. When I covered it a few years ago, it was knocking on heaven's door. And at the time, I actually reached out to the DCC museum guys in San Francisco to get a quote on getting it repaired, and I just could not justify the $400 that they were going to charge me, basically for me to extract the circuit boards and wash and recap them. So, yeah, it just never happened. I've actually been seriously considering selling the DCC deck. It is totally a for restoration thing, but by the same token, I don't foresee myself ever getting back to it. I just haven't seen any... for a while, I was hoping there'd be maybe band demos and stuff like that, but it never came to be. Let's see, Jimmy T... 1993, do I have CDs pressed by PDO of Blackburn, Lancashire, England? I'm sure some. I can't think of any offhand. I only own a few period, shall we say, British discs. The only two I can think of offhand would be T'Pau, Bridge of Spies, and the Jets' first album. So right around that 86, 87 mark. Most of my British CDs are much more recent. So I wasn't sure if you're heading towards a thing on CD rot or not. Let's see. I can't quite make out the name. Brittles. What lost silent film would you be most excited for to be found? Probably more Theda Bara stuff, because there's only like 6 out of the 100 films she made. Speaking of whom, in case you ever wondered who was on my mouse pad, I had this made years and years ago, like 2010-ish, pre-archive definitely. I've got a bunch of... There's more books on her than there are movies, surviving movies. New media, 2862. If an oddity archive movie, as in a narrative story, not a documentary, ever gets made, what do you think the plot should be? Utterly incomprehensible and buried in the backyard. Retro Dakota, Wade. As for me, I'm currently in eastern South Dakota, somewhere in the rural areas around Sioux Falls. Used to live in south central South Dakota in the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't mind the middle of nowhere right now. It's gotten pretty swinging in Sioux Falls. It's getting to be a little beautiful downtown Aurora-ish. Yeah, if I didn't have some other reasons to be going back, you know, to visit. It makes for a good story, too. I did the first 6 years-ish of archive there in Aurora, Colorado. I found that first R in Aurora again. You might have noticed. I used to drop it. I got so much guff for that, but I guess when you live there, you say it so often, you just drop it after a while, and so everybody used to get on me for saying Aurora. But that's how a lot of the locals at least used to say it. Well, maybe I'll find out if it's still that way now. But yes, I found that first R again. It took me about 2 years, but yeah. Let's see. EAS CEC, and sure enough, take a drink, everyone. The chat moved on me. Let's see, I was reading one from EAS CEC here. Have I watched Vampire Robot before? It was a blast from the past. I've heard of it, and that's about it. I'm so utterly out of touch. At 40, I'm a thoroughly out of touch old geezer, I think. Let's see here. Christine Clips. The talk about donations and tip jars. How about an episode on telethons? Not a bad idea. I might have to add that to the pile. That might be a good one to do around Labor Day. You know, the old MDA Jerry Lewis one. I've seen a handful of those on YouTube, so I'm guessing those aren't getting clamped down on, or at least if they are by the content ID, they're nothing's really happening with them. Let's see here. Old radios. Any new reel-to-reel audio finds? Nope, not in at least a few years. I couldn't even tell you the last one I bought in person. Certainly not since I did that video it couldn't have been that long ago, like a month ago. Funhouse Radio USA question. Do you have any internet radio devices other than computer or smart TV? Probably, and I just can't think of it. I don't really do a whole lot of internet radio listening, so to speak. I have the XM app on my phone and stuff and in the car, but yeah, does that even qualify? Let's see here. Risk management, finance. What is the meaning of life? Cheese. Lots and lots of cheese. Let's see here. Rick in Baltimore. Ben, I was asking how your family was doing given all that happened. How is my mom doing? She's doing all right. And indeed, she's going to come with me. We're going to go together to Colorado this coming weekend, I guess you could say. And she's not going to appear in anything I'm doing. You're not gonna meet Mama Minot. But she's doing all right. It's been pretty steady, pretty quiet, it seems. I've really been kind of back at work full time lately. $5 super chat from Votive Drones, thank you. Have I recovered some kind of rhythm after how hectic this past season was? You know, I thought I would do a little better. I feel like I'm moving slow. I really feel like I'm working a lot slower than I used to. I feel like I'm moving slower. I guess it might have been just pure adrenaline taking care of Dad for those last few years. And it's just like I kind of ran into a wall. I'm really trying to keep up the old archive schedule. For the life of me, I don't know how I kept it up as long as I did up through the end of 23. But yeah, it's... And I feel like I have a rhythm back, but it just seems slower to me. Michael Carpenter, I got a working DAT machine for $20 a while ago. Nice. Hang on to it. Working DAT machines are not easy to find. Most of those things got worked right into the friggin' ground. I've never owned a DAT machine at all. Every one I've ever seen has been, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. No refunds, and I think part of it is just the head and just the good old wear and tear. Even though it's digital, you know, the tape still has to run along something. And like I said, most of those things are just ridiculous. Risk management finance again. What are my influences? The sun, the moon, and the water. Or maybe a little, I don't know, old Jack Benny, old Pink Floyd. Depends on what you mean. Let's see. Brian Hebert, am I familiar with Homestar Runner? Heard of it, but never seen it. Risk management finance. Where do you get your ideas? In the words of the late, great Super Dave, Bob Einstein, I get them at Ralph's. Pajama Fricks. That's why most of his videos have been broken, per se. Yeah, back on the fuzzy memories thing. Let's see here. Cinemagic 77. Do I still have that NEC SVHS VCR I was trying to fix a while back? Yes, I do. I was gonna send it off to someone. I was gonna actually give it away, and I just totally forgot about it. I don't even remember where it was supposed to go. Get back in touch with me, whoever that was, if you happen to be watching. Yeah, that just got totally lost in the shuffle. I've got it. It's actually just in the closet over here, which should be used for clothes, but it's mostly used for archive storage. Let's see. Super Orange Cat 6937. Is there a specific TV market, as in city, that has been particularly intriguing to you, either in terms of weirdness or interest? Chicago has the longest history of archivisms. It seems like I'm always coming back to Chicago TV. It seems like every crazy idea in television seemed to have some sort of start there or something like that. Let's see. Mark Hess. Hey, how you doing? Ben, it seems like you're always busy. Hope you find some time to relax during your Colorado trip. Something tells me you'll be super busy then as well. Yeah, and knowing me, when I have done my quick little travels, like when I was doing the AM stereo thing a few years ago, I would be at it all day, but I would still get so wound up that I would wind up sitting in the hotel room just doing a little live stream. So don't be surprised if I do another one of these this coming week, just totally unannounced. If I just happen to spring up, we'll just chat for half an hour. We'll have a cocktail together in the hotel room. You know, I'll hit the hotel ice machine, that sort of thing. Let's see here. Retro Dakota, Wade. Currently, what is my most favorite or at least most listened to radio station in the Sioux Falls area? I've discussed it a few times, but my favorite station around here is actually 98.7 KISD, but they're based out of Pipestone, Minnesota, an hour away. Within Sioux Falls proper, maybe they call it Sunny Radio. I think there's a chain of them across the country. It's 93.3 here in Sioux Falls, KZOY, something to that effect. Not a very high power station. I mean, even in my neighborhood, I can have a hard time picking it up. It's definitely not a powerful station. But yeah, it's really the Pipestone station I mostly listen to. Gator Girl, did I ever get that 78 RPM needle I was looking for? No, it just keeps falling on the back burner. Every time I mentioned this when I discussed the 78s on that Ben's Junk video a month or two ago. Every time I'm about to buy it, something else comes up. So most recently, I need a crown. I had gone to the dentist, and so that's kind of in the pipeline now. I guess that'll have to be on the installment plan. Let's see. Old radios. Did I ever get a radio with a single sideband, lower sideband, upper sideband to hear hams talk? I'm sure I've got something useful around somewhere, but I never listen. I never seem to have the time. At least I had the wherewithal last year to renew my ham radio license, but I haven't turned the friggin' thing on. I've turned it on once since I've lived here in 8 years. It's going to be 8 years to the day on Sunday, something like that. Or no, tomorrow, now that I think about it. June 19th was the day it became official. 20th was the day I moved in, but yeah, papers were signed on the 19th. Let's see here. Xavier Brenner, any updates on the Cartravision tapes? So yeah, I talked to a different Rick, not Fuzzy Memories Rick, Rick Thomas of Obsolete Video, also on YouTube. He's got quite a channel, and we had one of our periodic little phone chats, actually talking to each other. And he said that he needs another fish tank, as it's called, the basic guts of the machine. What he has is just not really working, and it sounds like there are some parts to it that he wants, but they can't necessarily be 3D printed and be decent. And also, we are both actually on the lookout right now for a fish tank, as it's known, that isn't rusted out. That's been the big problem, and that's been the only holdup in the Cartravision tapes. Is just trying to get cobble together a working unit for Rick. And I've been looking too. I've had running flea base searches and stuff for quite a long time now, longer than I've had those tapes. But yeah. Let's see here. I am 1,000 apples. Oh man, the Razor Ramon iceberg is pretty crazy. Either the real Razor Ramon or Gino. I guess that would work for both of them. Oh, there's Gino. Hey. Howdy, Ben. Unsure if you've been tuning into the latest season of Six Gun Theater, but I hope you enjoy it. I'm spotlighting Singing Cowboys. Miss our chats. Hope all is well. Yeah, I just haven't seen it. I know you've been doing it. I have seen some of your Facebook posts, but I haven't actually watched. I suppose I should plug them again. I was kind of making the Saturday morning thing for a while on the Facebook and Twitter pages. Kind of my substitute for a Saturday matinee or Saturday cartoons. Let's see here. I can't necessarily read it. Something Burton. Is it true Betamax had better video quality than VHS? If so, why did VHS win the main format war? I discussed that on History of VHS Volume 2 again. I've done it a few times over the years, actually. But yeah, the main problem with Beta wasn't that it was bad. It's not. In fact, there's a Beta machine. I'm kind of sitting in front of it, but right about where I'm pointing there. And I was doing Beta transfers yesterday, in fact. Yeah, I think it was more just Sony was only licensing their machines to a few manufacturers, and the price tended to be higher. And VHS came out and it was pretty much a free license. Anybody could make it, basically, and it just became more plentiful and just more units meant more manufacturing and a lower per unit price. So, yeah. Let's see here. Jimmy T 1993, do I have any PAL or CCAM VHS tapes? I did a whole episode on some PAL tapes 2018 or 19. It was right before Thanksgiving. If you're British, I guess that doesn't mean anything. Mid to late November. Yeah, I had gotten I had gotten a decent multi-system VHS deck, and I wanted some more PAL tapes than the few mass-manufactured ones I had. I wanted to be able to start doing off-air stuff from England, certainly. And yeah, I did a whole episode on it, and there's a handful of postings on the Archive Annex channel too, but you'd have to flick back to 2018-ish, 2019, thereabouts. There's some good ones on there too. There's some good Christmas ads. Michael Carpenter, will there be any movie nights coming up next season? You mean like public domain theater? Yeah, I'll probably try at least one. It seems like the last couple times I've tried it, even though I am running not just public domain material, but deliberately unrestored, not treading on anyone's restorations as implied material, YouTube just seems to swoop in and just shoot them down right in the middle of the stream. So I've been kind of hesitant to. It's like I have to dig real deep, and then you reach that point where does anybody want to watch this stuff? And yeah. Let's see here. ESCEC, speaking of 80s contemporary hit radio, what was the first ever top 40 radio station you've ever listened to back when you were an infant? The first one I remember was probably WLS in Chicago when my family lived there, late 80s. Let's see here. Jesse Coffey's third new account, Sin. That might be cut off. Among the deaths in 2026 that were in the news cycle, there was one you might be familiar with since you did an episode on his TBS channel. That'd be Ted Turner. Thoughts? I had heard he was in hospice care. I had heard he was kind of, on his way out, and I just, I kind of figured he would be going at some point. I didn't post anything because when I discussed him on the TBS episode, of course he factors into the discussion. You can't discuss TBS without Ted Turner. But I was really thinking more some of the programming on it. If there was any one person in general, it was actually Bill Tush, the guy I gave a whole segment to, and really the reason I made that episode, so I could kind of show some of his old overnight news stuff. Let's see here. Standard deviation 6428. Grew up in Denver. Friends jokingly called it Rora. Yeah, or roids. NESC Retro. What's my opinion on the Shags? Fine. The Philosophy of the World, their only proper album, sits behind me on the bookshelf on a regular episode. Obviously, I had to do this in my living room / work room. I mean, this is kind of everything. This is where I sit to watch a movie, but it's also where I shoot Ben's junk videos. It's where I do live streams, and I am always moving stuff in and out of here. But yeah, I first heard the Shags right around the time I graduated high school or just after. I had read this book called Songs in the Key of Z. Very, very good book if you're interested in outsider music. I think the only book that Erwin Chussid, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, has ever written. He's one of the head honchos, or at least used to be, might still be, at WFMU in New Jersey, kind of America's most notorious freeform station. Yeah, that was where I heard of it, and of course when I heard it, I heard myself. I heard my own stuff when I was 15 or so, just hacking about and not really knowing what I was doing. Let's see here. Jason3FC, ever find any more karaoke hell videos? I got one in a thrifting episode last year, and I ran a little of it as a stinger after the main video, but I discontinued. I had to discontinue the laser karaoke episodes because they just became such a ridiculous copyright problem with YouTube, and half the time YouTube was trying to claim them as the actual hit recordings, even some of the really terrible ones. And I'd have to re-edit the damn thing 7 or 8 times, and I'd finally get it clean. I'd put out the video. 24 hours later, it would be shot down, and it reached a point where I couldn't do it anymore. And I'd try and post it to archive.org, and people didn't like having to go off of YouTube to watch it, and I had to throw my hands up at the whole thing. Let's see here. I am 1,000 apples. An actual pirate radio episode would be pretty cool. I love the concept. Yeah, I've kind of looked into Radio Caroline and stuff, but by the same token, it's so well trodden. I'm just like, do I really want to cover this? I'm not sure I could add anything to it. And there's always, little stories of pirate radio stations in America and stuff. If anything, it's kind of tangential to his channel, but there's a British YouTuber that I watch periodically, Ringway Manchester, and his whole thing is generally ham radio, amateur radio, but he has done pirate stuff. And granted, of course, it's mostly very UK centric, but yeah, those can be quite good, albeit all too often beyond my grasp of radio on a technical level. NESC Retro, what do I think of Melanie Safka? I like her. I only own a couple of her albums, but yeah. And every Groundhog Day I play her song Groundhog Day. I used to post it to the Facebook page, but I just kind of forgot. Let's see here. Marquez, maybe I should make a pilgrimage to the other Aurora in Illinois to worship at the feet of Wayne in his world. I have this feeling eventually I will wind up visiting Chicago. I just have a feeling something is going to wind up dragging me out there. There's so much archive history out there that even though I'm not really seeking it, I just have this feeling I'll wind up visiting at some point. Let's see here. Grayman Media, watched your NBC syndicated shows like She's the Sheriff and Out of This World. That got me thinking about your video on Super TV channels. Would you talk about the evolution of WFTY and WNUV? Super TV, like the pay TV service, or super stations, like what WGN used to be? Miss Harley Quinn 54. Hello, Ben from Canada. Hello, Harley from America. Let's see here. Bob DiCarlo. Hello, Ben. Have you thought about doing an episode about TV pilots from the 70s to the 90s that were never picked up? Kind of, sort of. I'm trying to have kind of a running thing of, even though I have to admit here, I don't really like making the sitcom episodes because I don't enjoy them that much. But they're fairly easy to make generally. So I am trying to have a little running pile of ones to do. And they always seem to do well, which always surprises me because I always figure you'd want that in the hands of a true sitcom aficionado. I mean, I've got my favorites, but a bad sitcom just hurts to me. And it's so rare you get a so bad it's good one either. So, yeah. Jen Gibbons, will there be a new record ripoffs soon? Yes, this summer. I'm bringing it back. And I really, really, really need to get my 8-track deck fixed. I've been kicking around the idea of Soul Spectacular this year, all R&B stuff. And a lot of it is on 8-track, and I don't have a fully functional 8-track deck right now. Let's see here. Axminster 6. Are there any AV holy grails you've found out about or started looking for in more recent years? Not as strongly as I used to, but there's the Kodak VP1, which allows you to run a film on your TV, like actually hook up. It's a Super 8 rig, but Super 8 millimeter. And yeah, haven't seen one anywhere at any price, certainly not in person, but yeah, not even on Fleabay with a running search. Otherwise, I'm always kind of half on the lookout for any video formats I don't have, like the V-Cord or whatever, but I have a feeling if I ever did get one, it would probably be more trouble than it would be worth. Let's see here. Bad Karma 1986. Do I like Steely Dan? Yeah. I don't know how cool that is to say, but yes, one of the first... I did a thing on the first LPs I ever owned, just beyond the scope of that. I picked up an LP of Asia, Steely Dan's Asia album, and I latched onto that sucker, and I wound up buying it on CD not long after. And by the end of my first year of high school, I rounded up all the regular Steely Dan albums, and I'm pretty sure I have all of them at this point. I don't think I'm missing any of them. All the studio albums and the one live album, and a compilation of theirs that has like a couple of non-LP B-sides on it. So yeah. Oh, and my LP, which has I have an EP of theirs from England, which has both sides of their debut single, which did not make it onto any of their albums. So, yeah. Let's see here. Cinemagic 77. You were going to send it to me. Okay, that explains the whole NEC thing, doesn't it? Gino, is there any advice you'd give someone like me who specializes in niche material? I know I'm supposed to say niche. I tend to say niche. I get very few views on my Six Gun Theater show and no audience participation when those shows go live. It's depressing. Gino, you do have a tendency of being esoteric to the point where there is just not much of a fan base for it, and turning people on to things is tough. I can't seem to do it with Archive. I find myself leaning on the tried and true kind of whether I like it or not. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I always hate to say go more commercial, but by the same token, there are people out there that they know that tiny little thing that they're really good at, and they're the king of that mountain, which may not be the hardest thing to do, but it really becomes them. It's who they are. And when you get to a certain point of esoterica, you're never going to make a living off of it. After a certain point, you're just going to run headfirst into the limitations of it. And you gotta say, okay, do I love it enough that it's just my thing, that's what I'm gonna do? Or am I in it for other reasons? I think that's where you were trying to go with that one. I could be wrong. Let's see here. I am 1,000 apples. Have we completely lost the art of local outsider commercials? Are we damned to the throes of endless Liberty Mutual and progressive ads? Where's the new frontier of outsider art? Here in Sioux Falls, we still have wonky local commercials, but they've gotten into that zone where I guess they've seen Tim and Eric and some of that other stuff, and they make them bad on purpose, and it just doesn't work. Unless you're making an ad for a comedy program of some sort, you making a willfully bad local commercial just isn't going to work, at least in my opinion. But yeah, they're still out there. I suppose it's more of a mid-market and small market thing. Every now and then you get somebody who doesn't get it. They're just clueless enough. But yeah, I don't really see it. I mean, even around here where it's kind of more redneck, it's, yeah. It's a lot of people who are, trying to be funny, and then it stops being funny. It's like in the movies, when you set out to make a cult movie. When you make a movie like Sharknado, chances are it's not going to work too well. I mean, maybe a bad example, but yeah, when you set out for bad, it doesn't necessarily work. Like when I do the Halloween episodes, like last year, it was mostly just commercial parodies, but it was intended to add up to a crappy TV station. Let's see. Cinemagic, I'll PM you current mailing address in FB. Okay. Yeah, for that VCR. It's gonna be after I get back. It's gonna be hitting the ground running again, like pretty much as soon as I'm done with this. Let's see here. Victor Cow, have there been ideas you want to put into full archive episodes but unable due to certain restrictions? When you say restrictions, I don't know if you mean copyright, although that has happened. My number one problem is usually lack of material. Like I started working on an episode at one point on kind of would-be fourth networks, albeit not necessarily intended to compete with, here in the States, ABC, CBS, NBC, but starting with NTA back in the late 50s, or Paramount's little stab at a little network, and up through stuff in the 80s like TV Heaven, which is the precursor to MeTV these days. But yeah, I had to stop working on that episode because I found some TV Heaven stuff, obviously, from 1989 or so, but anything else, it would just be this terrible slideshow. It would just be me citing my sources for a whole video. So yeah, I've had a few like that where I've just had to stop, and I've had one tech one that I had to put indefinitely on hold recently because I couldn't get the equipment to work. I was going to discuss Technicolor cartridges. So the people that did the Technicolor processing made these cartridges of 8 and Super 8 film, and these machines trying to simplify the process of running film at home. You know, back in the 8mm era, you just pop it in and it would play in a loop. But yeah, I wanted to do the first model and the final model. My final model, I cannot get to work. Everything seems to be just fine with it. And it's really weird. It's really just a motor. It's not like it's, a load of capacitors and all sorts of stuff. And I've got it cleaned out. The rubber's good. I've just done everything I could with it. And I cannot get it to play a frickin' film for more than 2 seconds. Let's see here. EASCEC. Benny hasn't been to California before. Yes, I have. My grandparents lived there. My grandparents lived in Woodbridge, Lodi, that neck of the woods near Sacramento. The Raina Brothers. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. This is the Bazaar. We did the Max Headroom documentary a few years ago. We interviewed you. Yeah. Sure did. Hope you're doing well. I haven't really seen you much. Let's see here. Brian Hebert. So even Ben listens to the Jack Sunny FM-esque stations. I guess a little. Like I said, my real favorite is 98.7 based out of Pipestone, and that's a mom and pop little ragtag station. Look it up online. They do stream online, KISD. It's an oldie station, but it's just wonky. Some of the stuff is, for one, their morning man is the guy that also owns the station, and he used to be as close to a big-time jock as Sioux Falls had decades ago. And some of it seems to be from his own personal collection, and clearly he hasn't fixed any of his stuff. Some of it seems to be from 8-track, and it's like it plays too slow, and sometimes you get the odd needle drop or cassette and it's pretty obvious, or the sound quality is all over the map, or sometimes he's using like 64 kilobit per second MP3s for a source. By the same token, it's pretty eclectic. It's not just the hits per se. You get some of the forgotten hits, and you do get some deep cuts like low charting singles and outright album cuts in there. Yeah, it's a bit of a trip of a station. And on that note, I was going to do, I was for a while trying to build up a local flavor episode for South Dakota here. Never really got there, but they do this thing called the Wheeler Dealer, and it's broadcast on a few stations in southwestern Minnesota. And it is the audio equivalent of a Robert Altman movie, in that if you've seen the original MASH movie or Nashville or one of those, it's, you know, a bunch of people talking at once, and you have to pick out what conversation you are trying to follow, just like you do in real life. And yeah, and it's people calling in, making bids on like tractor parts, or alternately maybe a cruise package for 2 to wherever, Alaska or something. It's just utterly crazy. I haven't heard it in quite a long time. I recorded it once during COVID, and they had to cut it short for some reason. They were having some sort of problem. I'd have to find that disc again. I'm going off on big time tangents here. Let's see, EASCEC, when is the first time I watched Superstation WTBS or TBS? Whenever my family got cable, 92. Let's see here. Grayman Media, I was asking about WFTY and its 6 p.m. weekly wrestling TV from 1986 to 96, 88 to 96, Pet of the Day. Okay, I think that was directed at someone else. Nothing like going live, is it? Is there? I screw up a lot, don't I? Anyway, let's see here. Wade. He is the authority on South Dakota broadcasting here. Sunny Radio's 93.3 is such low-powered because they need to protect a full power station out of Huron. Big Jim 93.3. It's a standard classic rock station. Oh, that would make sense. Jimmy T. Do I have any BBC programs on either VHS or DVD? Yeah, I have had... I had the original VHS issue of US version of Faulty Towers, so still BBC, still John Cleese and all that, but had that when I was growing up, and then I got the boxed set on VHS when that came out in the late 90s, and I have it on DVD now. I have Blackadder, I have a few others. The only one I have that is British, and I've got 2. I've got, well, they're on DVD. I've got Some Mothers Do Avum with, what's his name, Michael Crawford. I first saw that on the BBC America station back when they still showed British things, when I was like in middle school, and years later I got the DVD set. Otherwise, I have a DVD of the Old Grey Whistle Test kicking around. That's the actual British. Let's see here. Jacob Wiggle, I don't know if you do, but what is your favorite Monkees episode? Again, coming from your ramble babble of my collection. I have this weird thing with the Monkees, the TV series, that is. Certainly when I was growing up, I liked the first season, not necessarily any particular episode, but I just liked that more kind of Marx Brothers-ish vibe. But over time, I've kind of grown to like some of the decidedly off later episodes, like the fairy tale episode, or I think it's called Frodis Caper. I think it might be the last one. Yeah, it's kind of shifted with me over the years. I can't say I have any one particular favorite Monkees episode, but yeah. When I was growing up, for whatever crazy reason, I loved the one where they visit New York, and I couldn't tell you why. Let's see here. Richard the Fox, have I ever considered doing a video on the other multimedia consoles, Commodore CD-TV, Tandy VIS, when I do that sort of thing, I like having the units. So I certainly wouldn't write off doing a CD-TV episode, but how often do you see those things? Let's see here. And take a drink, everyone. The chat moved on me. Oh, come on. This is a swinging chat tonight. I feel like I'm way, 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 way back here. All right. Jesse Coffee, something you might find peculiar. I saw a listing for a JVC BR7700U VCR, which was listed as for parts or not working. Seller says it powers up and the display works. Well, that's Fleabay for you, isn't it? Oh, that's funny. The tape will not load any further than shown in the photos. The photos show that a tape is being inserted with the lid facing the eye, which is the wrong way in. Somebody jammed in a tape the wrong way, and they're saying, it's a parts machine now. That is so frustrating. I absolutely hate fleabaying electronics. I've had so many of them get destroyed. And back on the Technicolor thing, the Technicolor 2000D is what I was lamenting about. That, it's a miracle it survived at all, but it was one of those deals where the seller chucked it in a box, no padding, no nothing, no bubble wrap, nothing. Packing peanuts, nah, just chuck it in a box and ship it along. My CED player, which is out of the shot, was like that too. I had to rebuild the bottom of the unit. It got totally cracked and destroyed in like 50 pieces. I had to sit there and rebuild the bottom plate of the damn thing. Thank God it's held together. Let's see here. Old radios, anything possibly photography related coming up? I'm planning to develop my own black and white film soon. So this past year, I was going to bring back that tradition of doing, I did this for a while, like 3 years, where I, every year at the peak of autumn, at the peak of, nice colors, especially, here in the upper Midwest, I would go out and I would try and do nature photography of some sort, or film. Like one year I did actual Super 8 film. And I have this little camcorder that's like 20 years old, and it runs on the 3-inch DVD-Rs. And I did not have time to do it. So it just fell by the wayside. So maybe this year, hopefully things go well. Let's see here. Brian Hebert, what was the strangest concert or family show you did audio for in Denver? I only did audio professionally a precious few times. I probably did just as much studio audio, and that was where I decided I didn't want to be a producer, because you basically get to be a psychiatrist, if not referee, to dysfunctional bands. I mean, most bands are dysfunctional. Yeah, I worked crew on a lot of really weird shows. I opened a venue back in 2011, and it's like they wanted the Blue Man Group, but obviously they weren't going to play some little 500-seater in suburban Denver. So they found this group of yahoos from, I think, Yorba Linda, California, somewhere in that zone, San Luis Obispo, somewhere around there. And for whatever crazy reason, it was just like ninja costumes that they were wearing. So there was no blue, but they would have like maybe a bit of reflective tape, somewhere on the arm or the hand or something. And they do these little interpretive dances to these totally generic electronic tracks. I wish I could remember the name of the troupe. I doubt they even exist anymore. But for whatever crazy reason, they had all of us on the crew dress up as them. They brought a bunch of extra costumes, and they expected us to come out and do an opening skit of some sort with them at the same time that they were trying to dedicate this new venue. And I had the first cue in the show, but they wanted their costume back now. So I had to try and they didn't have one that necessarily fit. I had to try and cram it on over myself, and I managed to rip the pants because I was trying to get over my jeans and stuff. And yeah, it was just awful trying to get back and have the first cue in the show, but they also wanted their damn costume back. And otherwise, there was some horrible show ostensibly about the history of country music, which it wasn't. It was just a bunch of crappy well-known country songs getting covered by like cruise musician types, people that you would see when you're stuck in captivity, like on a cruise ship. And I mean, the musicians, the singers weren't wonderful. They were really nice. And I worked with some of them again, in some cases, several times. But the show was this utter incomprehensible train wreck. I mean, the only thing missing from it was a dude and his two robot friends sitting in the front seat talking back to it. I mean, it was just, the writing was just amateur hour. It was just crazy. Those are the ones that spring to mind, but there were a lot of times where it was just like, how the hell did you get this? How did you get in here? On the other extreme, at that same venue, once in a while we'd have, some band or artist come through and, it's like, why aren't you playing a 3,000 seater? Yeah, you're not going to fill up in Denver the old Pepsi Center or whatever the hell they call it these days. But yeah, once in a while it would be just the opposite problem, and we'd have to jam somebody who was too big really for us in. Yeah, most of my really goofy war stories are from when I was a grunt working for a staging company. Crazy crap in artists' riders, little contracts where they ask, okay, we want this type of food backstage and all that. Once in a while you'd get some lunatic who'd say, if you encounter so-and-so, do not look them in the eye, and stuff like that. And there was a very well-known teen pop group at the time that one of them came running down the hall totally naked, and the best I could do was just turn to the wall and just kind of cut my eyes, up against the walls to not see it, officially not see it. So that's where most of my real crazy stuff happened. Let's see here. Richard the Fox, curious about what entirely lost TV show I would find most interesting, would like to see found. I can't think of any shows that are totally lost that I really want to see. Let's see here. Got some radio chatting going on. Zaz man. Have I ever considered making a video on 70s to 90s British TV ephemera, British commercials, school programming, white TV shows? I kind of have, it seems like. I know I've done some British commercials on like some of the commercial episodes. I had one called Overplayed Commercials a few years back, where I did a segment of all, not all, but I think mostly British ads. And it was ones that were ubiquitous over there, but obviously we never saw. So Body Form with the knockoff of Alone by Heart. That sort of thing. Yeah, I always feel like that's more of like Adam Martin's area. It helps when you're British. My frame of reference with British TV is kind of limited. I didn't know you lived in Chicago for a short time. Yeah, I was little, 3.5 years. My dad was Air Force, and so when Uncle Sam said it was time to move, it was time to move. Although once we landed in beautiful downtown Aurora in '91, he had developed enough clout. I guess he was high enough rank that he could finally say, no, we're not moving anymore. But yeah, we had been in Chicago prior to Denver. Let's see here. Weatherstar, will there be an episode on the rise and fall of HD DVD? Also, sorry to hear of the loss of your father, Ben. Thanks. I do own an HD DVD machine, a Toshiba. I haven't had it out since I did the DVHS episode of 3 or 4 years ago. I hope it still works. But I've seen other videos on it. I'm not sure if I could really add anything to it. And I suppose I'd have to find some more ephemeral stuff of the format. So I guess it is something to think about. I have not done a format episode in forever, but by the same token, I've done certainly the big ones at this point. Let's see here. Andy B. Productions, 12-volt Vids said he has a bunch of DAT tapes with rare recordings, including off-air radio air checks. If I remember correctly, perhaps rare recordings are more common on the DAT format than DCC. By definition, it would be. DAT was way, way bigger than the digital compact cassette ever was, because damn near every recording studio, especially the lower end ones, had DAT machines for like, geez, the late 80s through probably the late 90s, and they would run those suckers right into the ground, and that's why we have so many problems finding a working unit today. And some of those things, even if it's just a little misaligned, the tape doesn't read properly. Let's see here. Irwin is still at WFMU. Okay, Irwin Chesed is still indeed at WFMU. Cool. TKR Video Central. Ben, did you ever see the documentary on WFMU? Fascinating film, gained a whole new respect for freeform radio. I didn't even know there was one. Maybe link me the title. That could be interesting. Let's see here. Gino, tomorrow is the anniversary of Slim Whitman's passing. I only know this because I love the man's music and belong to a few Facebook groups dedicated to him. Thanks for introducing me to him. Yeah, sure. Yeah, when I did that episode, it's half on Boxcar Willie, half on Slim Whitman. You know, kind of the twin titans of kind of oddball, cheap, per inquiry ads. Hey, I made a record, now I'm going to sell it on TV. When I was making that, my respect for, even though I'm not big on his music, my respect for Slim Whitman just went right up when I was working on that one. And my respect for Boxcar Willie went up too, although I really cannot stand most of his music. I'm weird. I have this very strange relationship with country music. Some of it I like, and some of it I don't, and there's only minimal rhyme or reason to it. About as constant as there is, as close to a constant as there is with me, is I like country rock. I like that California late 60s, early 70s stuff. I love Graham Parsons, Flying Burrito Brothers, later period Byrds, and Michael Nesmith after the Monkees, Pure Prairie League, Poco, all those bands. Rick Nelson and the Stone Canyon Band. There's some really good ones. And the mechanic in me likes, say, the pedal steel guitar. I've never been able to fart around with one of those things. They're always just stupid expensive. But I would just love to mess around with it, even though I don't know if I'd ever use it. And anyone that's listened to my own stuff, there's a little country here and there, but I'm pretty firmly in rock territory. Let's see here. Old radios. Am I familiar with the NPR show Atomic Music Hour? I don't really listen to NPR. I suppose if I need a hit of classical music, the NPR around here seems to mostly be classical music. But yeah, it's never been my thing. I think what happened was, in coming from Denver initially, it was the home of folk music from people that should not be making folk music. If folk music is proletariat music, if you're a trust fund kid, you probably shouldn't be a folkie. I mean, like, trying to be a real hardcore folkie, like when it was part of why I quit trying to pursue anything in Denver circa 2010, 2011. It was, I can't even remember some of the bands. Some of them really caught on too. But it was these dudes that were trust fund kids that they'd grow the big ZZ Top beard, and they would dress like a lumberjack, but a lumberjack wearing a $500 shirt and stuff, and they'd try and do, it was kind of what we now call stomp, clap, hey sort of stuff. The Lumineers, that's who I'm thinking of. I could not stand them. I'm off topic. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Couldn't have grabbed me too much, I suppose. Let's see, another question about pirate television stations. I have looked into it, but it's another one of those deals where there's no footage. And that is always, when you're making a video on something, it sure helps when there's footage, even if it's just audio footage. But yeah, I've seen news articles about so-and-so was showing pornography at 2 o'clock in the morning in New Jersey or whatever. But yeah, there's only so much you can say about it. And of course, the material could be a problem too. Once in a while you hear about somebody hosting the pirate station. I actually did have, I started to kind of make one, but it was more like over in the old Soviet bloc towards the end of the Soviet era, where they were getting hijacked, TV stations were getting hijacked on a semi-regular basis. So usually just like a text overlay, like freedom for fill-in-the-blank country, that sort of thing. Let's see. James. Ben, ever see Pump Up the Volume? If not, it's about a person doing pirate radio. Yeah, I have. It's been a very, very long time with Christian Slater. Yeah, I have, but it's been a damn long time. Mike Dest. Ever find yourself in Iowa thrifting? I used to have my best luck in Iowa, eastern Iowa mostly. It's a long way to eastern Iowa from South Dakota. I don't even know if there are any thrift stores in northwestern Iowa. Granted, I very rarely cross over into Iowa. There's more stuff in Minnesota, but I barely even go there. I've been to 3 towns in Iowa since I've lived here, and I don't remember seeing a single thrift store or anything at any of them. Old radios. Have I ever heard of the Throwback Television Network app on Roku? No, but I may have to look it up. I do have, there's actually a Roku right underneath my TV. I kind of grudgingly got into the whole Roku thing. I always feel like those things are just so ripe for data mining and other problems, but my trick has been to just unplug it when not in use for whatever that's worth. I'm very guilty of watching YouTube stuff. I have those YouTubers I like that I do want to see on a proper sized TV. So Angry Video Game Nerd, James Cinemassacre puts one out. I like to watch it on a decent TV. A lot of times I prefer watching Tecmone even on a big TV. Some of them are just fine on a smaller screen. Let's see here. Brian Hebert, one of the few recordings of the pre-preview EPG system is from a cable cluster in Lake County. Okay. Yeah, I never did. I did that episode on Preview Channel way back when, and that was mostly just to show off the laser discs that I had found, where I was. It was the stuff they would run on the Preview Channel, but trying to get through the mainstream movie stuff was a bit difficult. EASCEC. Hey Benny, have you been to a drive-in theater before? I think I may have said that question before, but it's a long time ago. I'm sure I've been asked and I've just forgotten. I have never been to a drive-in. I'd like to. There is one over in Laverne, Minnesota, just over the state border from South Dakota. It's like half an hour from here. But I've just never made it over there. I'd really love to sit in some year. I don't know how I'd ever afford it because it would be airfare and all that stuff. But I'd love to sit in at the Mahoning sometime in Pennsylvania, where they do the Found Footage Fest guys have been out there. There's always the horror things out there. I'd love to sit in on one of those at some point, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen, unfortunately. Or if they would want me there. I hope I have a decent enough reputation. I don't know. I kind of drift in and out, at least as far as archive goes, with the real culty stuff, the horror and all that. And it's not by design or anything. It's just one of those things that comes in waves. Let's see. Pepsi Apocalypse. Speaking of radio, do you have any plans to do another radio-related archive episode? Something kind of like the stunting episode a few years back, one of my favorites. Yeah, I'm not opposed to another radio-based episode. I'm not sure what it would be on necessarily, but yeah, I'm not opposed to it. Let's see here. Woofy96, something to that effect. What about covering British sitcoms like failed ones? I'm sure there's lots of failed British sitcoms. Yeah, I think that's a bit outside of my sphere. It is kind of nice in more recent years. I'm seeing more like British-centric YouTubers and Canada-centric and Australia-centric and people that are a little closer to the material. I always feel kind of weird when I try and do the British stuff. I always feel like I'm kind of stomping on someone else's toes when I do that sort of thing. Let's see here. Richard the Fox, have I ever thought about doing a sitcom episode about those cartoon spin-offs of various spin-offs from the 70s and early 80s? No, I can't say that one's crossed my mind. Brian Hebert, I've always wanted to see an all 90s, 2000s record ripoffs. And you're probably never going to, because I learned the hard way when the one year I did 80s and 90s record ripoffs. Those suckers are, no matter how terrible, all in the content ID system, and it is very hard to excerpt them. And if I am successful at all in running them, I have to chop them up beyond the point of them being comprehensible. So unfortunately, the odds are kind of low. And maybe that's for the best. I hate to say my history of music ends in the 90s, but I have a feeling it would become a lot more acidic if I started to get into the 2000s, because that was where I basically stopped listening to the top 40 in about 1998. Let's see here. User VF6, etc. Not a question, but the picture I used for episode 41.5 TVDXing is from Nuevo Laredo, a Mexican city across the border from mine, Laredo, Texas. Never thought we would be featured on here. Greetings. I think it was just from Telemundo, but I'm sure they got the show from somewhere. Alman54, longtime subscriber here. Will I ever show my face? I have a few times. You just got to know where to look. Let's see. Warp Dog Record Hound. Tried having my Centrex 8-track fixed. The guy wrecked it. Well, that scares me to death because it's a Centrex right behind me. I'm sitting right in front of it, but yeah. Let's see here. Fan Control Network, something to that effect. I honestly forgot, have I ever found any record ripoffs from Magnetic Video from before they started releasing videotapes? Yes, I've got a handful of them. I don't know if I've ever covered any of them, but I did pick them up on some of the thrifting episodes, but it's just, I think the only one I ever excerpted, I played part of, I think it was a Tammy Wynette thing or something over the end credits of one of the episodes. But yeah, they haven't made it to record ripoffs proper yet that I can think of. Sergey has run a couple of them, though. Let's see here. Super chat from Jason Eager. Hopefully I'm getting that right. $5 from New Zealand. Thank you. Can't even read it here. It is something about, have you thought about an episode on wild feeds for news and network feeds? That's another one I kind of had to throw out. Yes, I realize it probably came from me running a bit of wild feed footage during the pre-show there. I've kicked around the idea, but in my mind it would have to be probably more content driven, in that it would be me kind of commenting on seeing each tape of a wild feed, for example, as its own art project, unintentional art project. Me trying to make a history lesson out of it, I don't think would be very interesting, and I don't have any knowledge of Satcom 5 and whatever other satellites. Some of those I don't think are even in use anymore. Let's see, Erica Riley. Steely Dan is especially cool if you're a yacht rock fan. I do not consider Steely Dan yacht rock at all. That's one thing that I generally don't get into, that yacht or not thing, but yeah, that's one that I just kind of go, huh? Grayman Media. Would I consider doing a video on dead local TV stations, or at least local UHF channels that are now zombies of rival stations? WDCA 20 and DC is an example, now owned by WTTG. What do you mean by like dead? It just sits there with a placeholder slide on it? Something like that? I'm not sure I'm getting where you're going with that. Let's see here. Jesse, Rick Thomas has had my V-Cord machine for about 3 years now. Says he needs to find a part for it. Yeah, I'm sure he does, and I have a feeling some of these things, you know, I know we're all into 3D printing now, but some of those parts I just don't think are going to be copyable through 3D printing. I think some people are starting to lean on that. I could be wrong. Yeah, when he had my AV36 open reel machine, which is out of the shot, it took a while, but I kind of expected it. Let's see here. Christopher Cross is cool again. Brian Hebert. I know you're responding to someone here, but I'm going to be out of town, but I guess he's coming through Sioux Falls next week. If I were to see Christopher Cross, though, I'd rather see him on a bill with other yacht rock artists, though. I don't know if I could sit through 90 minutes of just Christopher Cross. Let's see here. Jesse again. It was my dream to be program director at an independent TV station. Pretty much all of them are zombies now. Some say it's not even possible to get good programming for them, even if you wanted to. Yeah, I'm having a hard time arguing with that. There's never anything I want to see on our so-called independent stations. They're all branded like My Network and stuff. I don't think we have a true independent. Let's see here. Another thing about British comedies. Yeah, this is the part where it's me trying to get through some of the chats, going to other people in the chat, and just trying to work my way through it here. Let's see here. James, how often do I get a new cardboard box? Original. Still original. I don't know, maybe the day this collapses once and for all, that's the day I retire or something. Yeah, I mean, I have to weigh this thing down. It hasn't stood on its own in quite a long time. I have to keep some weights, so to speak, around in the box. If you've ever wondered what's in the box, it's me just taking whatever thing I can find that weighs a pound or two to keep the box from collapsing, flopping over, flying away on me. I always get nervous those rare times where I have to stand and I have to hold the box, which I used to do in the very, very early days of Archive, first year. Let's see here. Grayman Media. I did a video about local station game shows based on lotteries. Now the Maryland Lottery has its own big wheel game that will likely become its own game show. So it's making a comeback. Is that a good thing? Let's see here. Never heard of TV Heaven. Okay, just a general comment. Yeah, it was the precursor to Me TV and Antenna TV, basically. Let's see here. Wait, in Sioux Falls, the only truly bizarre local ad is for Those Blasted Things, a tourist trap in Laverne. Yep. It only seems to air on MeTV. Yeah, it's the only place I've ever seen it. Yeah, I mentioned it once. One of the two AM stereo episodes where I was driving and trying to capture the drive and do a time lapse sort of thing. There was some cop shooting radar right at the Laverne exit, and I made some comment about, well, I guess I'm not going to Those Blasted Things. Now, nobody's going to know what that means, but it is this as close to a tourist trap as you're ever going to get in the small town of Laverne, Minnesota. Luverne. Population like 2,000, something like that, if that. And they sell rocks. Yeah. They sell like decorative rocks, that sort of thing. Not necessarily like healing crystals and some of the more hippy-dippy stuff, but yeah, apparently it's a place to go for rocks. I was going to stop there at one point, and I just never did. Let's see here. Didn't know Benny visited California before now. Yeah. Yeah, when I was a kid, at least. After my grandmother died, my grandfather moved. But yeah, I was in California a handful of times growing up. Never lived there, obviously. Back on Those Blasted Things thing I was talking about a moment ago. The guy singing is John Barnes, a local musician and former cast member of the long-gone local comedy show The Caribou Show. I loved that show for some reason, and you have shown me that show, and I can't say I necessarily get it. What else have we got here? Do I get the DJ that uses the name Billy Madison? I can't say I do. If I have, I never paid any attention. I assume that's referring to Sunny Radio, maybe? Because that's the only thing I can think of where they've piped in other stuff. Like, if I were to turn on Sunny right now, it'd be some prepackaged 80s or 90s music show on any given night. They're only staffed during, I guess you could say, business hours, maybe a little before that. They do have a morning crew, which I think is just the owner and his wife just attempting to be the morning zoo crew. I've listened a few times and I just kind of, I don't like morning zoo crews anyway, so it's not my thing. I was going to say KISD does some of the prepackaged stuff over in Pipestone, but that's usually like Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, that sort of thing. What else have we got here? Dalek USA, did I ever tell my story about what I was doing when the Dark Knight Rises shooting happened? I was probably at home or at work. What he's referring to is there was a shooting at a movie theater in beautiful downtown Aurora, and as the movie Dark Knight Rises was playing. And I remember at the time hearing from a bunch of viewers like, "Are you okay, Ben?" Yeah, because that was actually my neighborhood movie theater. But yeah, I was not there. I'm not into superhero movies. I don't go to the movies that often in general. But yeah, it was a non-issue. I mean, obviously it was a tragedy in that that place was closed for quite a while afterwards, and I honestly thought they were going to demolish it and rebuild it, but they just wound up basically remodeling it. It's still, as of the time I left, it was still the same building and everything. Let's see, EASCEC. What is the first ever classic golden age of Hollywood movie I ever watched? Beats me. The first old movie I remember seeing was, and I discussed this in the first Silent Movie Day episode, I remember us going to like some pizza place in Chicago where they would show the old silent movies on the wall. They were still doing that in 1990-ish. And they ran Chaplin, one of Chaplin's probably Keystone shorts, and it scared the crap out of me. It took me I had a phobia of Charlie Chaplin until I was like 11. He just scared the crap out of me. I found him grotesque. Yeah, I slowly got into silence, but like on the comedy front, I found Buster Keaton to be the much more relatable one. Ben, your box is looking lovely, as always. And it's getting a little wrinkly. Aren't we all? A little discolored. Oh, let's see here. Got a super chat from Excellent Chef, $5 Canadian. Any tips for looking after Blu-rays? I think some of mine are already getting disc rot. I haven't encountered it yet. I have not encountered disc rot on any Blu-rays or regular DVDs even. When that master list came out about like Warner Brothers DVDs a while back, I had a few on the list and I went and I checked mine and mine were all good. So it might just be a storage thing. Don't keep it in the garage. Don't keep it in an attic or something. Keep it somewhere where the temperature is going to be reasonably steady. But I guess that's not necessarily going to save it if it's got bigger problems. Ampersand. Anne Sheeden passed away a few days ago. And so much for reading that one. Everybody take a drink. Starting to read that, and of course, good old YouTube. So everybody gets to wait while I don't even know if it'll let me go back that far. I guess I'm taking too long to answer. So I guess I'll have to jump forward here. Jason Hammond, do I have any ideas for new music? I expected it'd be a while before I could find time, but curious if you have ideas in the back of your mind. Kind of, sort of, a couple. When I have picked up my guitar lately, and it hasn't been in a few months now, it's more about me just being disappointed in myself in that I feel like I can't play. I feel like I've needed to build my chops back up, which were never brilliant in the first place. So every time I pick up a guitar, instead of trying to write something, or whatever instrument, but mostly guitar, I'm just like, okay, my picking is really unsteady. I need to work on that. I need to be able to get from this chord to that chord, in different parts of the neck, efficiently and that sort of thing. So admittedly, for a while now, I've just been driving myself crazy on that front. And let's see. Once again, everybody take a drink. Here we go again. Old radios. I recently got a Panasonic DMR EZ48V for $2 at a garage sale. Lucky you. Feature packed and has a digital tuner, way better than that Magnavox junk. Yeah, and that's one of those ones that you can output VHS with an HDMI cable. I've been trying to find at least one of those machines that will let me do that, and they have a crap ton of those things on Fleabay, but they're, $200, $250, $300 for no friggin' reason. They're not that common. I'm not even sure they're all that sought after. Let's see here. I must have been talking about the show with the ninja costume. Why would they want their costume back when it was my turn to perform? I performed, so to speak. I think I was running monitor mix that night, and I had some sort of audio cue. That one was an audio thing. I needed to get back to my desk to, do things and press buttons and move faders and stuff. And yeah, it was not a great experience. Shock of shocks, we never saw them again. And it was not, since it was opening night, we had a full house, but that was just because it was opening night. Everybody's families and friends and stuff were coming in and just filling up the place. The second performance, it ran all weekend. Starting with the second performance, attendance kind of went like that. Uh, duh, duh, duh. Brian Noblock, like Country Tonight, but far worse. Referring to the show's thing when I was working stage crew, yeah. Actually, Country Tonight was probably more entertaining. But yeah, I had a lot of Country Tonight-esque things. Go watch the Branson episode, the Branson tapes, if you're not familiar. Brian Hebert, I remember Ben talking about Bruce Hornsby being drunk as hell during a show in Denver. Yeah, every other word was an F-bomb. And he did not play any of his hits that night, and the people in the audience were not happy. Dalek USA, Ben, it's the Ball Arena now. Okay, so no longer the Pepsi Center. Okay. I do not miss going to that place at all. That was always fun to deal with the security people and all that. I'm not sure who was worse, Pepsi Center back then or Fiddler's Green. Old radios. Ben, you ever hear about early mechanical TV programming like the television ghost? Not necessarily the programming, but I know I've touched on it at some point. I think it had to have been prehistoric television. It's way back in 2015-ish. Stuart H. Media, has there ever been another format I wanted to do a deep dive on like VHS? Still waiting on the 6-part look into the Telefunken Ted format. Telefunken Ted's never going to happen. That was a European-only format, and I would much rather see that stay in Europe. I just have this weird thing about doubling the power draw using a step-up converter here in the States for European electronics. I think actually the Europeans have the upper hand on us. It's easier for them to import one of ours at 120 volts and just put it into a step-down converter that's mostly just a dummy load for extra power. Yeah, as far as a deep dive on another format, I can't even think of anything. The last deep dive I did was as deep a dive as you could do on the Quasar Great Time Machine, and I haven't felt the need to try it again. Let's see here. Somebody keeps writing Laserdisc versus Blu-ray over and over. It seems to be some sort of format wars sort of thing. Yeah, I've done all the format wars I'm ever gonna do. Pinto S-word noise. Not that I'm guilty of... I'd never curse during a live stream. Just hasn't happened yet tonight. What's my favorite public domain movie? I've been starting to collect some on Laserdisc. Well, that's kind of not a great question, because anything from, at this point, 1930 and before is public domain, and I'm a big silent nerd, so that opens it up quite a bit. As far as like common, what we would think of as public domain movies, from say the 50s and 60s, Night of the Living Dead. It's kind of a cliche choice, but that would probably be one. That would be one I wouldn't even mind running on public domain theater, but I have a feeling it would get shot down because somebody would think I was running their restoration of it. Let's see here. EASCEC. Hey Benny, back when you lived in Chicago, do I remember the old Z95 and B96? No, I don't. I was in preschool when we lived there. We moved to Colorado just in time for me to start kindergarten. Let's see. What is a good tape 4-tracker? Ronzak Productions. I ordered a digital one, and my bandmate Kane really wants me to get an analog one. I've never owned a good, I assume you mean cassette 4-track recording rig. For a while, I was trying to get a Marantz 740, which was kind of the highest of the high-end cassette ones, but they've come up on Fleabay periodically, but either they go for a stupid amount of money or they need so much work, I don't think it would be worth it. Plus, it would be strictly an academic exercise. I have absolutely zero intentions of ever recording any new material on a 4-track cassette deck again. Me recording on my laptop is my modern-day equivalent of such things. I know I'm kind of considered Mr. Analog and stuff, but that's one thing I don't miss is the limitations of those things. And I was the king of just progressive bad noise. With every time you'd have to bounce tracks on a 4-track or 4 tracks of audio down to 2, and then you may have to go farther and farther and farther. It would just be truly unlistenable. Jason Hammond, Republic Domain Theater. Manos Hands of Fate would be a good one, with it being infamous from the OA opening theme. Think it's got a chance of not getting clobbered by bogus copyright claims. It got a full tilt restoration. It's had 2 of them now, actually. It's had 2 full tilt restorations, and I'd be willing to bet heavily that it would get shot down. Plus, there are not many old unrestored copies of Manos. There's a DVD of it, and there might be 1 VHS of it. There may be more, but that's what I'm aware of. Let's see here. Excellent Chef again. I've had a thank you for the super chat, by the way. I've had great luck from a Japanese seller on eBay. I bought a SC88 Pro listed as used and working. It survived shipping without any damage. Yeah, the Japanese tend to be good at shipping, I've noticed. A lot better than we are. But whatever Japanese, so to speak, electronics, would be for the U.S. market that I would ever pick up. And as such, here in the States, based from here, shipping from here. Let's see here. EASCEC again. I wonder what happened to the old Empire carpet looking guy drumming in the audio video Prince commercial. The one where the guy trying to imitate Prince is doing 1999. Some say he's still drumming today. TKR Video Central. WFMU film is called Sex and Broadcasting. I'll email you the info. Okay, cool. Stuart H. Media, have I considered going into the early failures of UHF TV? Other than Lucky 7, there were some seriously short-lived stations in the 50s and 60s. I did prehistoric UHF several years ago. I pretty much squeezed that one dry. And that was one of those times where there was no footage for me to run. I never did. I was saying at one point I was kind of looking at trying to start getting into where there is some footage from UHF starting in the late 60s. And it hasn't happened. Some of those things take so much research. Local 47, hey Ben, utterly adore the archive. Thanks, keep up the great work. Would I ever consider doing a video on the Weather Channel, Weather Star, Weather Scan? My condolences on your loss. Thanks. Not really. I had at one point, but there are so many people that are so deep into that, the Weather Channel thingy, the Weather Star 4000 and all that, I don't think I'd do a good job with it. I really don't. I have no idea what this is about. Do I remember Jollum and the Torkor? I have no idea what that is. So I'm up to where I was discussing country music, where I was going off on one of my little tangents. Daft Optimist. Country classics are great. Modern bro country is garbage, as is the sappy, glurge traditionalist stuff. If I never hear God Made Girls again, it'll be too soon. I'm with you on bro country. I cannot stand the stuff. My mom still tries to listen to the new stuff, and she pretty much won't do it around me because I start making fun of it when I hear it. And I try and keep an open mind. I try and sit there and appreciate it, but the songwriting is so poor. And the singers, it's that very affected Southern voice. Like it's a caricature of a Southern accent. And then you hear them in an interview and they don't have a Southern accent at all. So it's all just, it's all show. But yeah, if I'm going to listen to real country, so to speak, it tends to be the old stuff. We used to have a decent classic country station here. Now their idea of classic is 2010. I Am 1,000 Apples. Alt country is pretty solid. Some of the stuff I listen to is probably the bedrock of what alt country became. Stuart H. Media, did my parents' taste in music dictate my own tastes, or was I more contrarian in what they would like? My dad was not a music person at all. If he listened to the music at all, it was because Mom was around. If he had music in the car when it was just the two of us, maybe the oldies station, maybe classic rock, but he was a talk radio guy. My mom would bounce back and forth between the then current top 40 when I was growing up and country. And I did not, this was the heyday of the Hat Act. This was Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson. That was the big thing, Clint Black. And I can listen to some of it today, but I did not like it at all back then. And my mom knew that. And so she would usually, if it was just the two of us in the car, it would be the then current top 40. Yeah, my parents were never really music geeks. It skipped a generation. My grandfather, my dad's father, was a musician, but it totally skipped a generation. Here's a good one. Ultimate Kratos. Do I like Burger King? Not really. There's a Burger King real close to home for me, but I haven't been there since before COVID. It used to be okay once upon a time, but the last couple times I tried to eat it, it was just totally dried out. Last time I was there, I ordered the chicken sandwich perversely at a Burger King, and it was just terrible. Let's see here. Ronzak Productions. I love Greetings from Elderbush Gulch. So an album I did 20 years ago now. It's going to be the 20th anniversary in August. Do I think I would ever remake those songs from the original West of LP? I'm not remaking anything at this point. I re-recorded 2 old songs when I did the archive soundtrack a few years ago. And one was an instrumental, Battle at Elderbush Gulch. That went okay. I'd been wanting to take another stab at that. The other one, which had lyrics, Everybody's Got Their Own Ideas. I did finally do the arrangement I'd had in mind back in 2006, but I just didn't have the means, the budget, the competence to do. And I could not, I remember trying to lay down the vocal on it, which I'm not great at anyway, but I just could not relate to the lyric anymore. I felt like I was just spitting out the words. I could not seem to find that place that I had been in when I wrote it in 05-ish. So yeah, for that reason, I don't really plan on re-recording anything, certainly any of the stuff with lyrics, because like I said, if that one song was anything to go by, I just can't seem to find my way back to that point in time. Pinto S Noise. Do I have a working DVC Pro deck? I do not. Boy, somebody's got a thing for Burger King. I'm seeing it a few times here. As always, it takes me a long time to catch up. There's a reason these things tend to go on for like 2-3 hours. Home for the LDLY. I feel like that Max Headroom video has kind of overshadowed how awesome my channel is. Thanks. Yeah, it's weird. It makes you feel like you peaked right out of the gate. But when I watched, granted I haven't tried in forever, but When I look back at that first episode of Archive, the original Max Headroom Incident episode, all I see is me hitting every friggin' pothole that a first-time video maker could. That was the first video I'd ever, proper video I'd ever made. I'd made a couple of very half-hearted music videos prior to that. My inspiration was the old Replacements video, Bastards of Young, where you're just watching a guy's feet with the speaker in the background and the song is playing. That's the whole video. It's a very famous video. Let's see here. ESCEC again. My favorite 60s, 70s, and 80s British pop and rock artists. He's been living here in the States forever, but Martin Briley is one I keep coming back to. His three album run in the early and mid 80s. Yeah, I'm sure there's more. Of course, Pink Floyd is huge with me, and I think is pervasive in influence with me. If you've heard any of my stuff, even if I'm not trying to sound like the Floyd, I just seem to come off as Floyd-ish. Weather Star, I heard Fox is buying out Roku. Any thoughts? That's news to me. Unfortunately, it's just kind of, it's what works. It's where you can, just have that easy device and you can get whatever streaming service through that. And yeah, I haven't seen any decent competitors to a Roku yet. Jason Hammond, speaking of rock country blend, I might like Mason Prophet. I have heard one whole Mason Prophet song before, and it was okay. The Coco Anarchy. Hey Ben, have I used TV Garden? Free radio from around the world in TV. They have managed to get North Korean TV somehow. Never even heard of it. Let's see, Pinto Essenoise again. Hi Ben, saw you got a ham license. Do I have any ham QSLs? You mean the cards? No, I don't. I never even got as far as really doing any communication with it. I did all the academic stuff and everything just fell right off after that. I thought you were about to ask my call sign, K2LAK, but the odds of catching me on the air are 0. I own a handheld transceiver. That's it. Let's see here. Old radios. Have I ever seen Dime Store Adventures video called Jack the Ripoff, where he gathers all these news stories from 1889 to 1930 with big and small crime news stories that start with Jack the fill in the blank. Never even heard of it. I mean, I guess I have now. Have I seen any of that Life with Grandpa monstrosity? What was it ever shown where you are? I can't say I know what you're talking about. Oh, hang on, take a drink. Gotta find my place again. I haven't seen stuff about drive-ins, so that tells me I'm pretty far back. One hot bun. Do I think I'll ever open a Blue Sky account? No, I don't. I don't think so. If it reaches a point where I consider myself, I'm not a fan of any social media platform, to be honest. It's mostly just for whichever has the biggest user base. That's more my criteria. It's not whether I like who runs it. I don't think I like who runs any of them. But yeah, as far as it stands now, it just feels like one more thing for me to try and manage. So yeah, I don't plan on opening a Blue Sky account. Eric N. Wilson. Adam Martin just did a review of a Good Times Home Video Disney knockoff cartoon. You call it stepping on toes. I'd call it cross-pollination. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with an American covering British stuff and vice versa, or whatever. I just always feel kind of weird about it because I always feel like my frame of reference is a little too small with the culture. Let's see here. Brian Noblock. Ben, you lasted longer listening to Top 40 than me. My cutoff was 93. Yeah, and I'd been I was starting to fall off already, probably in 96. When it got down to the point where I was hearing like 1 or 2 songs a year that I liked, I just gave up. Matthew Lawrenson. Music for me ended in 1972. I was born in 1975. Yeah, I've gotten crap for, geez, Ben, does your history of music end in 1985? And I guess in some ways, I'd like to think I'm not that bad. I'd like to think I even have a little idea of what's going on now, but yeah. Let's see here. Ronzak Productions. Do I think I will ever cover the music from the phonograph wax cylinder era? Maybe, maybe not. I've kicked around the idea of, this would be one that I don't know if I get away with on YouTube, not for copyright reasons, but for content reasons. There's a wonderful label called Archaeophone Records, and their whole thing is reissues of wax, restorations and reissues of wax cylinder recordings and early disc recordings, and it's been out of print forever, but I do have it. They put out this set at one point of stories on wax cylinder, but they're dirty stories. They're the kind of stories you'd tell among friends in the bar, that sort of thing. And they were all recorded in the 1890s, and they can get far more blue than you would ever expect. So there's that part of me that would love to cover it just from that they were doing that already back then perspective, but I just have this feeling that YouTube would just be clutching its metaphorical pearls over it. Let's see here. Stuart H. Media, where do I get a shelving unit like the one you got behind you? It looks super useful. They're just Home Depot, Lowe's hardware store, major big box hardware store shelving units. That's all they are. They're really meant for garages, but I've never been able to find a real proper decent AV rack, and custom ones can be $2,000-$3,000. So yeah, $110 for a rack from Home Depot is the far more economical option. Let's see here. One Hot Bun. Have I ever covered mini dish services like Prime Star? I've looked into it, but I don't think I ever have. I'm sure I've referenced DirecTV and stuff like that. My family had DirecTV back in the late 90s. Never really covered it though. Yeah, I'm not sure where I would go with that because it's mostly just normal cable TV. I'd say the odds of me covering C-band are probably higher. I love the whole wild feed. I love people watching things that maybe they're not supposed to, because, hey, we caught it in the air. Not really much of a thing anymore. I think we've gotten pretty good at encryption in more recent years. I'm sure there's still stuff on C-band. Better Kenny, Loggins or Rogers? I'd say they're about equal. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but yeah, Kenny Loggins more on the pop side, Kenny Rogers more on the country side, and a certain overlap. I mean, there's a little country to Kenny, and there's a Rogers, or a Loggins rather, and a little pop to Kenny Rogers, yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing some people are writing the same questions over and over again. That's just because I get way behind. Retro Dakota, a channel called Midnight Retro, uploaded what might be the oldest footage of DirecTV channel surfing. I have seen that from December 31st, 94. Yeah. I have actually seen that posting. The name's cut off, but it says the autistic key on my end. $20 super chat. Thank you. Hey Ben, got rejected by my internship. Glad you're live. What's my stance on punk rock? I like the old stuff, starting with the stuff that led to punk, starting with the Stooges and MC5 and up into the New York Dolls and the Dictators and then into the Patti Smith group and ultimately Ramones and Blondie and all that. Yeah. I like the old stuff. I can't listen to much of the newer stuff. It's, again, like I was lamenting with folk music. After a point, a pretty easy point, it's just a pose. And it seems like most of the punk I've heard released in my lifetime is, again, it's the trust fund kids trying to act punk. At least that's the stuff that I've encountered. But yeah. Although I guess the older I get, the more I have to be just in the right mood on a given day. Let's see here. How many times have I said that tonight? Christopher Cross, he's a phenomenal guitarist. Cool video where Rick Beato pointed it out. Yeah, I knew that already. For years I was always trying to pick out I knew it was him taking the solo on Ride Like the Wind. But yeah, you do have to kind of struggle to pick it out. It's too low in the mix. As for Rick Beato, I like it when he has musicians come in and he kind of just lets them talk. That's when I like his channel. The rest of his stuff, I just can't get into it. But I do tend to watch, again, especially if it's someone I'm a fan of, then I'll watch. Now we're commenting on my cardboard box. Quick, shore up that box. Stave off Ben's retirement. Wade, Retro Dakota. Sioux Falls does have one independent station, KSFL 36. But as I hinted at earlier, its programming isn't the best. Yeah, I've seen that. I was watching, right around the time my dad died, I was watching something or other really late at night on it. It was like some fishing show, and then it went over to some really wonky local thing, but at the same time, not necessarily funny either. But yes, they do carry it on cable here in town. Yes, I still have cable. I'm not a big fan of it, but I sit so low that I can't pick up much of anything with an antenna. And of course, with this digital TV stuff, it's all or nothing. Gino, think I'm going to hit the hay. Have a great night. Yep. Good night, Gino. I'm sure it was quite some time ago. Boy, there's a lot of Yacht Rock comments in here. I didn't think it would start anything. Warp Dog Record Hound, I really liked those AM stereo episodes. I liked the second one. The first one I just see as a big black mark on my record, so to speak. But yeah, the second one was, I liked that. I'd kind of like to get back out to St. Cloud again sometime. I don't know when or how, but Al Neff, the guy that runs the WXYG, the station that I visited in that episode, he does this thing where he has guest DJs, and part of me would kind of like to make the trek out to St. Cloud if he would allow me to take over the station for an afternoon. But I don't know when I would ever do that. Let's see here. Old radios. There was a TAC 4010 reel-to-reel for sale near me at a store I go to once a month, but I can't justify the $120 price tag for a machine in dubious condition. I hear ya. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago on a thrifting episode I'd found a TAC 4-tracker, open reel 4-tracker, and the thing had been gutted. I mean, they wanted $100 for it. If it were at least complete, I would have been all over it, even if it would have needed some work. But Yeah. Retro Dakota. Okay, we're talking about 93.3 FM here in Sioux Falls again here. Sunday radio runs Throwback Nation Radio nightly, and that's what I hear. And it seems to be just the same handful of 80s and 90s tunes over and over. Same with Cool 98 out of Mitchell, which I can't pick up. If my mom was still around, she would find Cool 98 unrecognizable. They play early 2000s stuff now. Yeah, I've been having those moments lately where I'm listening to the oldies station, and it's stuff that I remember very well when it came out. Let's see here. Old radios. I was just starting archive when that shooting happened. That must be the Dark Knight Rises thing. That would probably be about right. I think so. Probably around the time I was starting to make archive, yeah. Oh, what else have we got? Another one from Wade here. Hot 104.7, which I never listened to, runs some national show called Blake and Jeffrey, which is some of the worst morning zoo crap I've heard. They do prank calls live on air. Gross, yeah. I have never liked the whole morning zoo crew, ever. Here we go again. Take a drink, everyone. Damn thing shifted on me again. Let's see. Jesse, when I visited Aurora/Denver, I drove by that theater and Columbine High School the same day. That must have been a fun day. Yeah, obviously I was on the other side of the Denver metro area and a year too young for high school when Columbine happened. But a few years later, in college, I went to school. He was a rapper, an aspiring rapper. He called himself Input. I think he's since gone into real estate, but he was fairly popular in and around town. But we got along fairly well. Even though I'm not really a rap person, but he was one of the kids in the cafeteria when it got shot up, and he was one of the ones that was lying on the ground playing dead, just hoping that he wouldn't get shot. And there was I don't remember what it was, there was a documentary at one point about Columbine, and he gave his story, and it's a tough story to listen to. Let's see. Weather Star. Will there be an episode on the history of direct marketing commercials? Stuff like those Time Life music video commercials, OxyClean with the late Billy Mays, ShamWow, Flex Seal. Probably not a history lesson. That would be more of a riff thing to me. That'd be more of a commercials, making fun of commercials episode. I did do a commercials one at one point where I think it was all per inquiry ads, so to speak. Let's see here. Ronzak Productions. What are my thoughts on Laurel and Hardy? I'm okay with Laurel and Hardy. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan, but I like some of their stuff. I've got a little of their stuff on VHS and all that. Yeah, I'm okay with it. It's not my favorite, but yeah, I'm not gonna dump on it either. What else here? Warp Dog Record Hand. Been taking drinks. Gotta make more tea. Probably best that it's non-alcoholic, yeah. And I am still looking here. Somebody's got the whole history of the shooter in beautiful downtown Aurora back then. Yeah, that's something I really want to read. Let's see, another Ronzak one here. If I could redo an album or concept back in my music days, which one would it be? what would said about available space and that one electronic item that never finished sound promising. Okay, so I did one called Minot in 2010, and I started work on what was going to be the next one. It was going to be called Available Space. It obviously never happened, and it didn't have a concept. It was just going to be a general pop rock album, kind of like my other stuff more or less had been. And yeah, it was just going to be the next record. So there was no real idea behind Available Space. Otherwise, I started on something called the Avant-Garde Files, which was a, for the time, 2006-ish, updated version of the old manipulated tape recordings, just now digitally, tape workshop tapes from the 60s. And it was just noises, and you couldn't use any real instruments. It just had to be whatever noises and mangling stuff. And I gave up on it because everything I was making was clocking in at about 1 minute, and it was all sounding the same, and it was all sounding very annoying, and it just wasn't going anywhere. And yeah, I never felt like bringing that back. I've done little kind of mini audio collages since then. I had one on Angel in Black on the Minot album. I called it Bennytronics. And then the archive soundtrack starts with a theremin collage, theraminiature. Brian Noblock, back on the costume thing, the ninja costume, just being a table cover from the local party store. I wish. No, they were real sewed costumes, but yeah. There was, again, they didn't have any that were quite my size, and then I did not have time to be outright changing clothes, so I just had to put them on over what I was wearing just for, crew work. What else here? Brian Noblock, the Branson Tapes is a top 10 OA episode for me. Glad somebody likes it. That's one I've gotten some hate mail for over the years. I've heard from a few pissed off Branson performers over that one. There's probably a few in the comments. I know there have been at least a couple. And I seem to remember saying in the episode that you learn what a grind it is, and you are trying to put on a show. But at the same time, those shows are very, very cheesy. There's just no way around it. And yeah, but I've gotten some good nasty grams over that one because I guess I'm sure I came off as snobby on that one. That wasn't necessarily the intent, but yeah. Brian Hebert, I wonder who was the teen pop act that Ben had to work sound for. Fill in the blank brothers. Let's see here. ESCEC again. Hey Benny, sorry to break in the D company here, but when is the first time I saw Winnie the Pooh on VHS when I was little? Never really got into it though. Richard the Fox, would I ever want to get a VHD player? Well, those things were only in Japan as far as I know, and there'd still be a slight voltage discrepancy between Japan and the US. If the price was right, yeah, but every time I see one on Fleabay, it's just insane. Arcard YT, who would you say is the most morally decent public domain VHS distributor? I don't know if I could answer that one, but when I think of like my favorite public domain ones, I think more Sinister Cinema, that sort of thing. And they're still around today. Greg Luce is still at it today. Otherwise, as far as the old ones that you'd hit in Walgreens, Congress Video tended to be pretty good CV. Those were usually pretty decent quality tapes. The Zenitsu fan, I'm totally botching that. Will I possibly do a video on wiping or junking, erasing TV broadcasts someday? Probably not, because there'd be a lack of footage. Yeah, I've discussed it a little. The thing I did on Dumont years ago, I mentioned the tapes getting dumped into the harbor. But yeah, probably not happening. Super chat from the Autistic Key again. Thank you. Do I like Green Day? I thought they were okay when they first came out. I remember that that Dookie album back in whenever that was, 94, 95, and I thought it was all right. I had a friend who had that album. I mean, we were 9 years old, but he already had it. We listened to it a few times. I thought it was all right at the time. When I hear stuff from it today, I just kind of go, yeah. After that, for whatever reason, they just drop right off with me. Let's see. Victor Cowo. With the death or almost death of analog TV, have I ever thought about hunting and documenting the possible remaining stations? I think that's supposed to be remaining stations. As far as I know, there are none. I don't think there are any analog stations left in the U.S. If they are, they're probably not legal per se. Otherwise, let's see here. Yeah, FCC, Jesse, FCC doesn't even allow analog TV anymore. The last ones were low power and had to go off a few years ago. Yeah, as far as I know, there are none left. Now, when I do my micro broadcasting thing for archive, mostly for just that effect, I'm doing it at such a low level that if you left this room, you probably truly wouldn't pick it up. I have had days where I have to have the so-called transmitter and my receiving antenna almost touching to pick it up well enough to have something usable for my own video. I suppose I could use the VCR Rabbit if I wanted to. That is more powerful, but I'm just been trying to be mindful when I do that sort of thing. I don't want it getting out. I'm just trying to do it for archive. I'm not trying to not that there's anyone around here still digging around the analog airwaves. I mean, even I don't do that. And people are so normie around here, they wouldn't do it anyway. Let's see here. Take a drink. Here we go again. Gen X Muse. Have I covered DVHS? Yes, a few years ago. Final chapter of the history of VHS sub-series. Michael Carpenter, I remember watching The Antenna Man, who went to where those low power stations were and got footage of them before the stations went off air. Yeah, I saw that. He was like getting hotel rooms and going in with the TV and as powered an antenna as he could get. Yeah, I saw that at the time. The Zenitsu fan, will I do an episode on early Nickelodeon when it was an edutainment type channel before it evolved into the channel we're all familiar with? It's already been done several times. I don't think I could add to it. Kind of whatever little comments I had on early Nickelodeon I think already happened on prehistoric A&E. Let's see here. Now comments about Bro Country. Yeah, I didn't think that would exactly be a controversial one. It makes me wonder, well, I hate to say wonder who listens to it. I know who listens to it. My neighbors listen to it, especially during the summer. And everybody gets to listen to it. Let's see. What's my local primary EAS station? Oh, that's for someone else, I was going to say. Ours, last I checked, is 100.1 FM, and I can't think of the call letters. It used to be the classic country station. Now it's, country from 10 years ago. Let's see here. SF-DN, so on. Ben, have you seen videos where you're using VCRs as reel-to-reel machines for recordings? So what, like pulling tape out of a VHS cassette and putting it on an AV3600 or something. No. Richard the Fox, what sort of music did my grandfather play? Country, swing, early rock? Well, there were no recordings of him. I have the one sole surviving piece of sheet music that he had, and that was only from a friend of his who had gotten in touch with my dad when I was a teenager. I'm sure he's long gone by now. He'd be over 100 by now. But if I had to guess, he wanted to be of the Tin Pan Alley songwriter ilk. That's the vibe I got from that piece of music. Indeed, on an episode that I had to, I hate to say abandon, but I had to indefinitely suspend. Years ago, when I first got I have the original now, the true original is lost to time, but a period copy of the sheet music. I was just learning to read music around the time I was probably around my peak at reading music, which I really can't do now. But it never made any sense. I would try and play it, and it would just be like almost akin to me just randomly hitting keys on a keyboard. So I was in school at the time, and sometimes I would use Finale. I don't know if they make Finale anymore, but to notate, to write out music on those rare occasions I needed it. And one of the great things is you could listen back for accuracy. It would make a little MIDI file. It would just make the little plinky noises for each note and chords and stuff. But I remember pumping it into Finale. This must have been 2007 or so, and really being painstaking about it. And it was just a mess. So I think that whoever wrote it had 3 people's name on the songwriting credit. I should note here, no joke intended. I don't know if it was Grandpa's handwriting or not, but had their own style of notation that I'm not familiar with, or they just simply didn't know what they were doing. I mean, at least the lyrics to it, it's a Christmas song, hence me saying Christmas there. It was going to be me trying to resurrect my grandfather's Christmas song. But it just, again, it sounded like randomly banging on the keys. So I suppose maybe with another 20-ish years of experience, I should try it again. But I'm still not really sure what he was trying to do with it, or whoever else he was writing it with. But yeah. But yes, as I was saying, I think he was shooting for more, Tin Pan Alley pop, the pop of the time. For what it's worth, the music has a 1945 date on it. And here we go again. Rabbit Sama, something to that effect. As a musician, how do you feel about AI-generated music? Not cover so much as original music. I'm a classically trained clarinetist, but I can't make songs. I can write lyrics, but I couldn't make a song. I have my issues with AI. I don't really need it personally, but I could kind of see where maybe some people would want to pump an idea into it to see maybe if it made sense. But even then, it's always going to be AI's interpretation of whatever you put in there, so it's never going to quite be necessarily what you were after. As far as people releasing AI-generated music, I can't stand the stuff. Especially this rash of videos on YouTube the last few years where it's supposedly from the 50s or 60s, but every other word is an expletive, and it's about, poop. It's about fecal matter. It's about bodily fluids and whatever else. So, yeah, I do have my issues with AI. For me, within music, maybe restorative use of AI, or Randy Travis. I've been bashing country a bit, it seems like, but the country singer Randy Travis, he had a massive stroke. He can't sing anymore, but for his last single, he got somebody to sing, but it was filtered through an AI of his voice from existing old recordings. So it was Randy singing again, and it worked nicely. I'm not sure we've ironed out the ethical part of it yet, but yeah, I think there are some uses to AI, but it's one of those deals where, like any tool, you can build something with it, you can repair something with it, you can also bash somebody's skull in with it. And I swear, for every one good use of AI I've seen, I see another 19 that are not so good. Warp Dog Record Hound. Ben, is my music still available? Yeah, for the most part, on benminot.bandcamp.com. Hard copies, there's only hard copies really anymore of the archive soundtrack. And I might have a few copies of Minot kicking around, but they're not officially available. I was kind of sitting on them for the high-rolling Patreon people. I think I have like 4 or 5 left. I can't necessarily read this. Super chat from the Gen X Muse, thank you. I re-recorded Pavand a cappella. I don't know if you liked that though. Yeah, I remember hearing it at the time. Homer J. Ben, what's my LP1 and LP2 station for the EAS? I'm not sure what that is. Like I said, I think our PEP, primary entry point, is that country station I mentioned. On the TV front, it's the PBS station. Oh, and Wade seems to be saying as much. Let's see, EAS station. Oh, I see, okay. Secondary stations are KIKN and KKRC. Okay, so I was kind of on the right track there. Usually when I see them come up on TV, the test or whatever, it shows relayed from 100.1 FM, at least on cable here in Sioux Falls. Arcard YT, what's the best VHS digitizer? If you still got an old Firewire capable machine kicking around, either an old Sony digital Handycam with a pass-through or a Sony DA V1 something, I forget what it is. There are videos out there on it. Unfortunately, the price has gone crazy on those damn things, but yeah, it's one of the few ways to get uncompressed video transfers, and that's really meant for the old 4:3 aspect ratio and more analog minded stuff. I keep hoping to go to something a tad more modern, but I haven't seen anything I really like yet. I tried to use a Blackmagic doohickey at one point, and it did not work at all. Let's see here. I'm reading. Ronzak Productions. What I think is cool that on your Bandcamp, Nick Lowe gets recommended. I didn't know he had any of his stuff on Bandcamp. I know you love the Jesus of Cool album, which I do. One of my favorite albums ever. Although it's usually the US version. Pure pop for now, people. Yeah. I didn't know he had anything on Bandcamp. I mean, I'm on his mailing list, but it's almost always for stuff like t-shirts. Stuart H. Media, has there ever been something you said or promised in relation to Archive that has come back to bite you, either something you couldn't finish or the end result was disappointing? I'm sure there is, and I just can't think of it offhand. And we're talking about fast food and the part of the comments that I'm on. The reviewer, any advice for anyone getting into Betamax? I have a bunch of off-air recordings from 78 to 96 I'm planning on transferring. For the most part, pretty much any Sony Super Beta Hi-Fi deck stereo will get you all the features you'd want that should be able to handle whatever you throw at it. and there's a ton of models on it. Just depends on how many toys you're after. I think as far as specs go, they're mostly the same. Certainly the SLHF 400 through 900 should be about the same spec-wise. It's just toys, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, Mary B. something. Favorite pre-Dark Side of the Moon Pink Floyd album? Metal, easily. I love that album. And yeah, now we got social media comments here. Frag Dude, hi, I'm sorry if you already answered this, but why do I cover my face with a box? And I've been enjoying your videos with the walk down memory lane. I've discussed it several times. It's mostly just a privacy thing. That nobody needs to see my ugly ass mug. Yeah. Yeah, plenty of good conversation in the comments. We seem to be pretty chatty tonight. Warp Dog Record Hound. Ben, have you ever seen the Archeophone Machine? It is an incredible modern cylinder player, plays any size. I've seen pictures of it, and that's a part of my thing. If I ever got a wax cylinder device, I would want some way of getting a direct feed of the audio, and of course that didn't even exist yet back then. Those weren't even electronic recordings. Those were just the sheer sound literally cutting the recording. And yes, old radios, the Actionable Offenses CD. Yes, that's what I was referring to with the old dirty wax cylinder recordings on it. So again, no music, but just dirty stories guys would tell at the bar. A Benny saved is a Benny earned. Yep. What happened on February 20th, 1971? Some bastard cut off the Partridge Family mid-song. That's what happened. Let's see. SF, etc. Miss Miller, Be Good record ripoff. You mean Mrs. Miller? Well, that's not a knockoff. That was on a real label, and it was a real hit. That Mrs. Miller's Greatest Hits, so to speak. It's just a cute name. It's not a compilation. That was a top 10 album in its day. It's a comedy record, though. Let's see, another box question. Is there anything in the box that I use to cover my face with? Yeah, like I said, it always has to be weighed down. Otherwise, script notes tend to live in there. Obviously, I'm totally just improvising tonight if it's not obvious enough. Let's see here. Weather Star, will there be an episode of Store Brand Electronics and so on? Well, those are usually just rebadges. Those are like, been sitting here too long. Like the stuff they sold at, say, Montgomery Ward's, I think was mostly Sanyo or Technics. They didn't make their own stuff. Radio Shack never, all those realistic things were made by other existing major electronics manufacturers. Old radios. Ben, how about the Dish Network channel they made to tell people pirating to get a real subscription? I've seen that video. Yeah, I found little bits and pieces over the years on, like on a cable system. Hey, we'll grant you amnesty if you take out a subscription. We won't press charges. But yeah, I can't say I've ever found enough to build an episode on. Because for one, there'd be no history lesson. It would be a truly content-driven episode. But yeah, not enough for a whole episode. And some comments on Pink Floyd in there. Yeah, I could ramble about the Floyds for quite a long time. Another super chat. Excellent chef. North Korea's state TV broadcasts are free to watch via satellite. Okay. I don't speak a word of Korean, so I don't know if it would do much good for me. Simonize the box. That would destroy it. That would hasten my retirement, wouldn't it? Victor Cowow, if I ever plan on retiring, maybe I should do a charity auction for the cardboard box. I was thinking the Smithsonian, personally. Oh, here we go again. Everybody take a drink. Everything just moved on me. So I'm guessing this is YouTube's way of saying I'm taking too long to answer. Brian Noblock, I would drive to St. Cloud to listen to Ben on live radio. You wouldn't have to. WXYG live streams 24 hours a day. You don't need to. My microphone is cut off. Shouldn't be. I'm showing level on here. I'm not seeing any other comments on it. Oh, never mind. Okay. Mark Hess, local St. Cloud newspaper did a story on Al Neff recently, the program director at WXYG. Learned a bit more about him. His real first name is Jeff. Not a great name for an on-air person, so he changed it to Al. Okay. Yeah, yeah, he was one of the old... I have this habit of discussing the old hippie DJs I grew up listening to in Denver, and he was one of them. I didn't realize it until I met him in person, and even then it was halfway through just sitting there chatting with him for quite a while that it finally dawned on me that he was one of the old hippie DJs I used to listen to as a teenager, and that got me into more classic rock and more deep cuts kind of stuff. Old radios. Same here, Ben. I was shocked to hear Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls on the oldies station. Yeah, I've heard Spice Girls and I've heard Britney Spears and stuff on the so-called oldies station now. That's terrifying. Plus, it doesn't fit in at all stylistically. Let's see here. Who would like to see KLAK 13 become real? Well, there is already a channel 13 around here. That's why I went over to 31. Brian Hebert, never knew Ben knew a Columbine survivor back in the day. I have instant respect for this input guy. Yeah, he was an interesting guy. I didn't see him again. We kind of ran into each other for a few years after college, but I haven't seen him in a solid 15 years. Of course, obviously living in South Dakota now, it's definitely not happening. Eric O'Reilly, I remember you doing a rap audio project online many years ago with some other guys. Forgot what it was. Somebody was doing the mixtape thing, it seems like, and they had me do some decidedly dorky white guy little narration bits between songs. I never did hear the final project. Richard the Fox, I wonder if the higher altitude causes some of the people in Denver to go nuts. I didn't realize Columbine was in the Denver area. Oh, yeah. No, the problem with the altitude is people that have lived at sea level all their lives can struggle with oxygen, especially people with COPD and stuff like that. So many times when I was working stage crew, we'd have problems with artists. I hate to say problems, but they could not handle the altitude. I told the story when Chuck Negron passed away of Three Dog Night about, he had tons of health problems. And he was just, I'd never seen anyone inhale oxygen like that man. He had to have gone through a few tanks the day I worked with him. Let's see here. Victor Cowow, if I do the direct ads episode, please put in the ShamWow guy. He's a hell of a person. See, when I think of the ShamWow guy, there used to be this sketch comedy show, Whitest Kids You Know. This was like 20 years ago. And the lead kid did a brilliant and also utterly disgusting parody of the ShamWow guy. I won't even discuss it here, but it involves sticky bodily fluids. But it worked. That's one of those sketch shows that sometimes is utterly brilliant and other times maddeningly terrible. I mean, all sketch comedy is hit and miss. That's just the nature of the beast. But some are more consistent than others. Let's see. Chance Hicks. Will I ever do an episode on early radio, 1920s to 60s? Not necessarily like networks, not necessarily in a history lesson context, but I've got like little compilations of early radio commercials. I know I've got some kicking around from like the late 20s, early 30s, where they're doing live reads of commercials. Let's see. Gara Schneider, something to that effect. Don't know if this was asked, but did I catch the recently recovered lost MST3K episode, KO3, Star Force Fugitive Alien 2? I can't say I've heard of that one. I've been kind of half watching the Riff Tracks guys, saying they're going to make, 4 new MST3K episodes. And I'm hoping they're good, because I did not warm up too good to the Netflix ones. And Schneider again, do I plan on doing another emergency broadcast salute episode covering full-length news coverage on weather emergencies? It's been done. I've done weather warnings a few times now for that sort of thing. I've done 3. I mean, the most recent emergency broadcast salute episode was episode 300 earlier this year. Let's see. Thank you for the super chat, New Media 2862. I'm currently saving up money for a Sega CD next week. I was considering trying Betamax again, but I abandoned it due to my bad luck with that format. Yeah, it helps to... I would just say keep an eye out for a Sony. Those are about as well built as they come. And they can be. Some of those things are actually kind of built like tanks. Let's see here. Homer J. Is Kylie Minogue the best singer in the world? No. Did I ever... Azrael Enterprise, did I ever do an episode on CED? Yeah, a long, long time ago. 2014 or 15. It sucks. I would strongly recommend Techmoan's CED video over mine. And do an episode on the Urkel dance. Yeah, it would be about 3 seconds long, wouldn't it? Wait, if I can ever get the rest of my VHS stash out of my late parents' house, I do have a recording of when the Sioux Falls stations shut off their analog signals. That could be interesting. I mean, it seemed to be one extreme or the other at the time. Some of them were totally unceremonious and others, went all out, and it doesn't seem like there was a whole lot in between. I think we might be starting to wind down here. I'm surprised everybody's so chatty tonight, honestly. Arcard, will I ever do a collab with another YouTuber? And if you do, who would you collab with? I suppose ostensibly it would be Fuzzy Memories. I was talking about that early in the live stream here. That's not going to be till after the 4th of July, but and he doesn't appear in it, but they are his tapes, so I'm I did try and we're trying to figure out the whole YouTube collab thing. It's like, I've been seeing videos lately where they credit 2 or more YouTubers, but they just, how they do it doesn't seem to, they're being a bit coy about it. Let's put it that way. SF, Dion, DN, etc. Ben, our old analog cable box is still even worth keeping. Got a Gemini 1 TCI. Not sure what to do with it. Only as a collector's piece. Only as a decorative item. Practical use, no. And let's see. Somebody's discussing the pirate station in Syracuse that, as far as I know, there is no footage of from back in the late 70s. The guy hosted movies wearing a gas mask. Yeah, I've heard the tale, but it's it's no good without footage. And looks like we got some discussion about AI going on. Yeah, I think we're starting to wind down here. Greedy Selfish. No amount of crappy, explicit, fake 50s, 60s AI slop songs will ever top real classics like Poisoning Pigeons in the Park. Tom Lehrer, yeah. Well, the problem is most people that try and do that stuff have no wit at all. It's just, hey, let's throw in, poop and whatever, urine and whatever, and call it a song. It's, like a 9-year-old trying to do it. Hell, maybe it is. Yeah, it looks like we got some discussion about Me TV Tunes, which our cable company does not carry. Evan Owlick, something to that effect. Regarding the recent affiliation switch episode, I thought it was odd you didn't touch on the WBUPN start and how many of the former Fox affiliates during the 1994 switchover became WBUPN stations. It wasn't really germane to what I was discussing. I mean, so much of it is just business deals, and I was hesitant to do the episode at all. It was only when I felt like I had an episode's worth of footage about it. Mr. Dingsong, can you take out the Spanish Heckle and Jekyll VHS for us to see that we don't have a high quality version of it? I suppose it's because I've never posted it to Annex. Yeah, that thing is sitting at the bottom of a box of tapes somewhere. I mean, I've got it somewhere, but if it's something I covered 10, 12, 14 years ago and I've never needed it again, it just, it gets covered up by other things. It finds its way to the bottom of whatever storage box I've got it in. Stuart H. Media, considering the box, have I ever been recognized in public? Twice. Where did I get my famous box? This was actually one my mom had gotten. She's a teacher that she was taking to school, and I needed a box for something or other, and she was going to throw it out, and I just took it. This is just an Office Depot paper box. It had initially 10 reams of paper in it. And, of course, YouTube is moving the cursor again. Flatbridge Duppy, for a year or two, I thought you were female. Not that it matters. Just remember being surprised that you were a Ben. I've never been accused of sounding like a woman. And how do we preserve the box? I'd love to know that. Yeah, I mean, it will break down eventually. It's just a given. And the funny part is, I still use it when I'm not using it, doing this sort of thing. It's where my microphones are and the real basic ingredients of me making archive. It's just handy. Any chance you'll be in North Carolina anytime soon? I'm going to be moving house. I've got a bunch of stuff you might be interested in having. That's a long, long way from here. This is a bit weird, but when I first started watching because of the box, I thought we were similar ages. I don't think I understand that. Let's see, another comment about the rap mixtape that I was sort of involved in. Erica Riley is saying, I heard the final project of the mixtape once, but not the entire thing. Okay. Yeah, I like I said, if I did hear it, I don't remember a thing about it, but I think I would. Knowing me, I would have tried to get a copy of it. What else? Brian Hebert, one of the whitest kids you know guys, is now a DJ somewhere in South Dakota. Yeah, he lives in Watertown. Timmy, yeah, he's... I always have this wild notion to call him up in the middle of his shift. I can't pick up. Watertown is like 3 hours away. Yeah. Timmy has been down here in Sioux Falls doing stand-up, but I've never made it out to see him. Ronzek Productions, it's fully understandable why you hate Anything Can Happen, an album I made when I was 17. But I would have loved to hear the whole thing. What you went through during that time was awful. I'm glad you were able to get past that. Thanks. Yeah, I've kind of left that out of the reissues. I mean, when I did the music career episodes, I always, up until that point, considered my discography not starting till 2004. And so everything I did prior to that, I kind of pretended it didn't exist. But when I did those episodes, it wasn't going to make any sense if I just started midway through. So I had to grudgingly add the Outsider stuff back. And again, most of it wasn't released. What is my favorite John Cena rivalry? I don't even... that's a wrestling thing, right? I don't follow that at all. Let's see... Yeah, I'm seeing all this talk about lost episodes from Mystery Science Theater 3000. I'd have to look that up. I guess I just missed that one. Erica Riley, will I ever remake the CED video in the future to improve on it? I've kicked around the idea of remaking some old ones, but I've done it a couple of times, but nobody seems to watch them. Like, I did DBX noise reduction twice, and nobody watched the redo, the one that's actually even somewhat accurate, and I had all the gear to test it out and really try and do it some justice, and it just, forget it, went nowhere. But I still get nasty comments on the original version of that one, and I hate deleting episodes and all that. I don't like doing that sort of thing. I always get annoyed when I have to relegate an episode to archive.org or something because it, ran afoul of YouTube, got blocked entirely, which still goes on to this day. Let's see. Public domain VHS distributors needs a follow-up now that a lot about Aimvest has been uncovered, along with more info about some other companies, as well as the main people of the PD, public domain DVD game. Yeah, I mean, I would like to redo Aimvest, but there are some tapes that I am after, and I am not doing that episode until I have my own copies of those tapes, and they've not been forthcoming. And I've been on the hunt for over a decade. Let's see. R-Card, what is the sketchiest TV channel I've ever seen? One could argue it's the major networks. In my own experience, maybe Channel 53 back in Denver, which I'm sure is long gone by now. I used to drive past their station all the time, and if you've ever seen the movie UHF with Weird Al Yankovic, it's like as close as you're ever going to get to a real life version of that. But it didn't have any wonky original programming or anything. It really was where you went to see Gomer Pyle and some of the whatever the absolute cheapest like 60s sitcoms you could get were. That's where all that stuff aired. And they had a crappy white and red stencil painted satellite right there at the station, the transmitter. And otherwise, Channel 59, actually that might have been 59, excuse me. 53 was elsewhere, but it was very similar. 59 became the PAX, a PAX affiliate, later on PAX. But yeah, that's the one I used to drive past that looked like the real life UHF station. So I'm getting my memories mixed up here. But yeah, you drive past and there'd be one car in the parking lot, you know, in the middle of the day on a regular business day. And but they never, 59 never showed anything original. It was almost all infomercials, even 30 years ago. And then when PAX happened, you know, they just started running their stuff. Mike, hey, Mike Oman, thought of an idea on leader ladies, which I don't think would be enough for a full episode, maybe for a physical film ephemera episode. Yeah, so what he's referring to is on the leader of an actual film, to adjust the color, they would invariably have some woman, and this went on for decades, where it would be, you know, the right flesh tone, the right peach tone of skin, and like the really red lipstick and so on. And it was meant for you to try and, you know, tweak things. Yeah, I've never seen any of those in person. Let's see. Jennifer Kemp, Ben, if you could go back in time to see a given band in their heyday, what band would it be? There's a few, but probably the Allman Brothers with Duane Allman still in the group. Otherwise, the biggies, Hendrix. On a slightly deeper note, maybe Little Feat with Lil George still around. Let's see, Gridlock Joe, show idea. Share time stations, where two stations split time on one frequency. There were several TV examples, although I don't know how much footage might exist. See, I don't know what I'd do with that. It exists, yes, and I've even referenced it. Prehistoric A&E discussed how they shared channel space with Nickelodeon, most famously. And sure enough, everybody take a drink. Here we go again. Chance Hicks, will I ever do an episode on band commercials? No. I'm sure YouTube would give me hell for it. And I do try and avoid the clickbaity stuff, maybe to my own detriment. Sometimes I feel like I probably should be a bit more clickbaity than I am. And Adam from Iowa, have I ever heard of Marion Stokes, who taped nonstop for over 30 years, collection of about 70,000 tapes? Oh yeah, I heard about it when that collection got moved around the first time, and people have just been regurgitating that story over and over and over and over again. That had to have been a solid 10 years ago now, I think. I thought you were like 23. I'll take that as a compliment. No, I'm an old fart. Who made the worst quality public domain VHS tapes? United American was bad. United American Video. I have some where the audio sounds like a Doctor Who Dalek. I'm pretty sure I ran some of it in that initial public domain episode. Madison was terrible. But strangely enough, I found some kind of cool ephemera on those things. What is my favorite episode I ever did? I don't know. What network would I want to do next for my next Networkism episode? I started working on a Family Channel one at one point, but I guess I just didn't think it was very interesting. I found in these Networkism things that I don't even necessarily like making the Networkism episodes. I find myself finding the prehistory of the stations, channels being more interesting. So hence why I've done Prehistoric A&E, Prehistoric Comedy Central. It just seems, to me, that's where the fun stuff is. It's them trying to find their footing, or the early years of TBS, or what became TBS. Weather Star, the Playboy Channel, or Spice, perhaps. I don't know how I'd ever cover that. I have footage from both channels at this point, but obviously I wouldn't be able to do much of anything with them. One of my all-time favorite recordings I did when I was a kid. I've still got it somewhere. Our cable station had VH1 half the day and the Spice Channel the other half. Now, we didn't subscribe to Spice, so it would be scrambled. You could still hear it, though. And one time I was recording Pop-Up Video, if you remember that show, and just God's ultimate joke at 4 p.m., or just shy of 4 p.m. when it would kick over to Spice, they were playing Shock the Monkey by Peter Gabriel. You can't make that up. Brian Hebert. Channel 53 in Denver is now an Estrella TV affiliate, so Spanish language, I guess. Yeah, 53 was the Denver's bottom of the barrel UHF station. There were some others, Channel 41, but pretty much all they showed was infomercials and religious stuff. I don't even count those. I'm talking about a station where you could actually at least get a sitcom rerun of some sort, or some, even if it was a public domain movie. I mean, yeah, even growing up in Denver in the 90s, we already had stations that were damn near 24 hours a day of infomercials. Thanks, YouTube. Lupar Music. Have I thought of doing my own version of V Westlife's Phony Oldies CD releases episode? Something similar to what you've done with your sound-alike comp songs. So I know I've seen V Westlife, Kevin, cover that stuff, but it seems like it's the original artists re-recording their stuff when he does it. Which there's not much fun to those, to me. Usually they're just kind of antiseptic sounding to me. And Take a drink. What is my favorite thrift find? I found the timer unit for my U-matic deck at a thrift store, and I suppose the fun part of that would be that it came from a company called Sievco in Denver. They might still exist. They still did in 2018 when I left. They were kind of notorious for being doing kind of slightly off AV installations for businesses and stuff. But yeah, apparently they had some video gear kicking around, and I did get that. Otherwise, I found some cool records and stuff along the way. I've got an original Misfits 45 that I found at a thrift store 20 years ago or so, which I guess is worth like a couple $100 now. Yeah, I've had some good ones. I won't deny that. It's been a long time. Flatbridge Duppy. Do I walk around in public with the box? No, I would get that much more attention. Let's see. Am I old enough to remember Max Headroom the first time around? I would have been like 3 years old when the TV series ran, so I was around, but I don't really remember it. I certainly remember it in the 90s, like seeing reruns periodically. Old radios. How's that Astronaut 8 radio? You're going to see it on this channel very soon. Sergey was borrowing it. So when I'm gone next week, I'll be in Colorado. Sergey is going to take over for me this coming week. And I made a little promo video for it. I always do, because I never post the full Sergey broadcast to the main YouTube channel just because it causes problems copyright-wise. So I just stick it on Annex, so if it does get nuked, it's no big deal. And yeah, for that promo, Sergey borrowed my Astronaut 8, my Radio Shack Astronaut 8 8-band radio. I really don't use it a whole lot because it's so big, and my Midland 400 weather radio is my good, sensitive, as close to a fringe radio as I can get my hands on. So yeah, I like I like my Midland for that sort of thing, because it's hard to pick up stuff sitting as low as I do. I just happen to be in a low-lying part of town, not by choice, or well, not. I mean, I chose to live here, but not by design. Let's put it that way. I wasn't thinking I'm gonna live somewhere low. I'm from Iowa. Do I like Twin Peaks? I've known about it since 2004, but I finally watched it 3 months ago. I'm hooked. I've seen a few episodes. I even have the Laserdisc of the first episode from when that dropped. Warner Brothers saw fit to put it out on VHS and Laserdisc, and yeah, it's fine. I've never, not by any stretch of the imagination have I seen the whole series, but it's fine. I have no issue with it. Sound phasey, sound phase, Y-tube poop, something like that. Will I do episodes on machines like or similar to the Scanimate, or just any machine that can do visual or audio? Yeah, I think I've done all of those I'm going to do. That's the sort of thing I like having the gear for, and that's something you just don't normally find. Closest I can think of is if I can find one of those early uber basic character generators, I would probably do that one. Mike, I thought Ben was the only other person who remembered Escapade, the precursor to the Playboy channel. No, I don't remember it, but those Escapade tapes I found several years ago are... I had to look it up. I didn't know what it necessarily was, but yeah, it was a history lesson for me. Do any of you guys remember the old MTV2 over-the-air affiliates? Yes, one of the high-number UHF stations ran it briefly in Colorado, far too briefly, probably like in the mid-2000s, and I thought it was really cool. Our cable company didn't carry MTV2, and it seemed to come and go pretty quickly, unfortunately. Richard the Fox, what network would I give the prehistoric network treatment? Maybe the Family Channel, because I guess its roots would have been CBN. Let's see here. Somebody suggesting a prehistoric Weather Channel episode. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I thought the Weather Channel just happened. Let's see what else. Take a drink. Thing moved on me again. And it's not me being fumble-fingery. This thing has jerked around on me a few times when my hand's not even on the mouse. Alright, I found my spot here. I was starting to read one and I missed it. Yeah. Oh, come on. I was starting to read one here and and then it moved the instant. That one's cursed. Whoever wrote that one, you wrote a cursed comment there, bud. Do you have your record? Here it is. SW2442. Do you have your record tape and CD entered on Discogs? And how much do they say it's worth? I do have a Discogs page. It's not public, and I only ever put stuff that I've purchased on Discogs on it, and that's not a ton of stuff. And last time I checked, it said something like the low end of my collection value was about $100, and the high end was like $5,000. So not the most reliable thing in the world. Do I play Fortnite? Nope. I don't play any video games actually anymore. If on those uber rare times that I am at liberty to, I'll dig out one of my old consoles. All right, well, I think I've caught up here, so I think I'm going to go ahead and wind things down. This has got to be a record, 3 hours and 38 minutes. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Thanks to everyone that's sent in a super chat. I didn't have a chance to give you the little likes, but I appreciate all of them. And I will check on the GoFundMe thing, tonight's tip jar. So the one time I checked it, I put $5 as the goal. There was no real goal to it, but you had to put some amount in, and it was already at 10. So yeah, I'm going to call this quite a success here. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close things down, and I suppose we ought to do the customary sign-off. So good night, everyone. Let's do the proper sign-off. This is station KLAK, Channel 31, Archive Land, concluding another day of broadcasting. This station is owned and operated by Minadian Media Mutual of Midwestern Middle Management. Our station is located in a rundown, flood-prone split level somewhere in South Dakota, with our transmitter located out the back of a JVC HR S7600U SVHS deck at an effective radiated power of 3/20ths of a watt. KLAK is also a member in good standing of the Television Code and displays this seal of out of practice. We now invite you to join us on KLAK Radio 640 and sometimes 1240 on your AM dial for music all night. On behalf of the staff of KLAK TV, a staff of one, I, now bid you good night. And now, our national anthem.